You want a pink Starburst?
Maybe later.
All right.
New sponsor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, welcome, guys. Thanks for coming by.
All right, we have
for
Ben
having
from
us.
Instigate.
That's me.
And
We
Brian,
borrow them sometimes.
Brian DBD.
What's up? What's up? Good to be here.
This already sucks.
Ask a good question.
Dead
Yeah.
air. You need it.
So, I mean, it's the first time me meeting you guys, and I'm kind of, obviously he's the guy that brings the people, so I'm just kind of diving in. I don't
I'm
know
a man of the people.
too much about you guys at all,
Sure.
so
Throw 'em
I'm
out
just
there.
gonna ask away. So,
Absolutely.
you guys play in a band together, or this is separate?
We both play in a band. Death Before
So-
Dishonor.
Death Before Dishonor.
Yeah, he plays drums.
Okay, so
Well, now everybody knows.
so the people, random schmucks in Wisconsin that don't know, they're just like, yeah, Death Before Dishonor makes sense.
Only since 2011.
Only since
Yeah,
2011.
Ben's been in the band
You're
for
new.
like 10 years.
Very, very new.
Yeah. So how did you guys meet?
Just shows. I was always going to DBD shows. Brian started recognizing me, being obnoxious, being a Punisher.
That's how it always goes. That's how it sucks.
Yeah, I don't know when we met, but Ben's been going to shows forever. When we were playing shows all the time. We needed a drummer. I knew Ben played drums and was young.
That's
I was like,
fucking key.
yeah.
Big. You want to be liked around here? Play drums.
Drums are so hard to find someone that can fucking play. But yeah, and then he joined the band in 2011. It's been a long fucking time.
Damn, that is a long time.
He's the longest member besides me, including like the original lineup. He's been in the longest besides me.
Yeah.
It's a long fucking time.
Hell yeah. It's like we talked about too. It's like there's a lot of like photographers at shows who are like, just pick up drums.
Too many.
Just pick up drums.
Yeah,
Join
yeah.
a band.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's
yep.
never been anybody who said less drummers.
Never.
Never once.
No, drums are definitely hard to find, and then to find someone that's like not old and doesn't want to fucking play or tour or do anything, it's so hard. We've had 4 drummers. Fuck, 4 I think, right? Dan,
Yeah, Dan, Memphis,
Skull,
and then
Shout
me.
out, shout out.
and you.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So you're 4th, but yeah, the longest.
So are you like you're pretty much the only original member then?
Yeah, I mean Frankie plays with us once in a while. Maybe sometimes I don't know. But yeah, actively touring. He stopped touring a while ago, so yeah, it's pretty much me. But at this point, it might as well be Ben too. He's been in the band. The band's been a band since like 2001. So yeah, Ben came in 2011. It's 2025. Ben's quasi-original at this point. We'll just say.
I'll take it.
What other bands do you have? Isolate.
I mean, yeah, that's a self kind of thing. I haven't touched since I recorded 3 songs by myself. It's
good.
Yeah, it's fun, And I'm in a great, legendary Central Mass hardcore band called Instigate.
I don't know if that's the description I give it, but it's definitely a Central Mass band
the
for sure.
description I give.
It's actually Ben's band.
Yeah, that's true. Ben started it.
That's why they call me Ben
It's all
Stigate.
Ben's fault.
Ben Stigate. I love it.
It's well, I was thinking too. I know we talk about like the younger generation a lot.
Yeah,
2001 is when DVD was formed, right?
yeah.
So this might be,
like
it's not a
5
shot,
years.
not a shot, but like, how does it feel to be a band longer than some kids going to shows now?
I don't take it as a shot. I think it's kind of cool. It's wild. It's wild that we're still a band. It's wild that we're still doing stuff, and I'm psyched doing stuff. Like it's cool doing it. But yeah, it's pretty crazy looking at, like, just feeling how
The
old I
tenure
am.
of it.
Dude, it's insane. But it's cool. I mean, seeing hardcore go from generation to generation and still being like thriving and wild and still being a part of it's cool. I sometimes if I really think about it, it's kind of weird, but I don't know, dude. I just try to
just
like
play.
What the fuck
Yeah.
else would we be doing?
exactly. I mean, when I first started going to shows, there were dudes that were super old, in my opinion, then, and to be that old, dude, it's kind of wild. But it's cool to still be a band and people still fuck with us and
Right.
still do shit and try to stay relative.
Very active.
Yeah, we try to do as much as we can. We don't do like what we used to do, but I don't think that's unless you're fucking Haywire, fucking Terror or something like that. Like we used to do from like 06 to 2010 or 11. We were doing like 250 days a year, just like constantly touring. And like that kind of contributes to like band member changes and stuff. You're on the road that
Right.
fucking much. And in that time, there was no fucking money. Not that
Yeah.
there's a lot now. There was just way
There's
less.
easier avenues to keep it afloat. now,
Absolutely,
for
yeah,
sure.
dude. Like, you'd to be a touring band back then, you had to buy a van. It wasn't like practical to rent a van. You know what I mean? You couldn't just fly to the West Coast and do a couple shows. Not that we didn't, but it just wasn't as easy or as inexpensive to grab tickets like it is now. But like since 2019, and not that we ever broke up, but we did kind of chill out a little bit from 2014 to 18-ish, kind of. We still did shit. We didn't stop, but we didn't put out a record for a while and stuff. But since like 2019, we've been like super active and stuff, and trying to play as much as possible within reason. And we don't want to be. We're also fortunate enough to go to a lot of different places. We've been around the world, so it's like we get to go. It's not just touring the East Coast or the Northeast. We're fortunate enough to go back to Europe or Mexico.
Like fucking Clockwork too.
Yeah.
I gotta deal with your fucking schedule all the time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it turns into that. Like, I mean, even when we were on like an active touring cycle, we were going to Europe like 2-3 times a year. Now we just go like once a year, maybe twice a year.
Right.
But it is like clockwork. Kind
It's
of.
almost just like you have an open invite to like do whatever when you want to do it.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's obviously like making it work and financials and stuff. In the right time, you don't want to burn yourself out. So, but just actively putting out records in the last few years, minus like the pandemic. But we've been trying to just make moves.
The pandemic was good for hardcore. It changed my mind.
It sucked for what it was, but it was great for the culture of hardcore, I think. I mean, bands came out of there, and I think hardcore is fucking bigger than it's ever been. And it definitely ties into that. And there's a lot of bands that formed at that time and records that were written and shit. So, yeah.
I think COVID attributed to just creativeness
Yeah.
as a whole.
That's true. Yeah.
Like in general, like no matter what you're doing,
I don't
like
disagree, yeah. You had
people-
time to be creative, right?
yeah, like I saw all the time, like in the middle of COVID, where it was actual the 2-week curve, whatever it was, and people were just grabbing their cameras and hitting the streets.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
was there,
Right.
you know what I mean? So people were just doing street photography, people
yep.
writing music through Zoom,
Absolutely.
or whatever the case was being. So
People don't like being told to stay in their house.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think like even me, like we were on tour in California right before the pandemic hit, and I was like, dude, there's no way. I mean, even if the world shuts down, like there's gonna be hardcore shows in basements. Like, what the fuck? And dude, the world fucking shut down, and I was like, damn, that shit's wild. I never thought I'd see that. So I do think, aside from being bored and creative, I think people are like, in a blink of an eye, there can be nothing. So you got to like value what the fuck's there. So coming out of the
100%.
pandemic, I think people just like hit shows hard and started bands and continue to start bands and get out there and supporting. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's just it,
100%. And it like because I follow like the martial arts world a lot, so it was one of those things where people were just putting paper over their windows,
Yeah.
but still training.
Yeah,
but you
yeah,
had to like text the owner and be like, "Hey, you guys there?"
Right.
I did some outlaw classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
Just it was the Wild West for everything.
Yeah,
Everybody became a criminal during COVID.
yeah. In one way, shape, or form, for sure. You're not wrong.
And I was in a bed for COVID.
Yeah. That was fucking bullshit. Not the sideline. He literally was this close to death.
Really?
Puking up fucking black blood,
Yeah.
coughing like a dying.
was it?
Dying.
COVID.
COVID.
Didn't tell me.
I
Fucking didn't tell me at all. Didn't text me. Nothing.
I was moving out as he
Great
was in the
friend.
hospital.
Great
Sick.
friend. So what
on the other
happened?
See you
I
later.
got-
Sick fuck.
Yeah, so I got COVID, and I already had like a compromised immune system. I
Sure,
have like
sure.
anemia and all this good
Okay.
stuff. So like I was just laying in bed, and it got to the point where like I was getting winded just going to the bathroom.
Damn.
And I was like, "Fuck!" And
Yeah, I've
I-
been there.
Yeah, I took it, but being 300 plus.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where I couldn't even get out of bed or turn myself over without losing my breath, like you just sprinted.
Right.
So eventually it got to the point where if I was just laying flat on my back, I was like kind of okay. I could breathe. But then it got to the point where I text my brother. He lives in the other room over there. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to call an ambulance because I can't even get out of bed for you to bring me. And then a month goes later, I'm in the hospital. Like I'm in the hospital for like a month on breathing assistance, everything. So like, and then he was just like, so you almost died and like you didn't tell me?
That's wild.
So the only reason he knew, because Steve was just like, oh yeah, I was leaving the house as you said I was calling the ambulance.
I was caught off guard. Joe Rogan told me COVID was fake.
Yeah. Dude, it was a wild run because like when I got there, they pump you full of steroids and everything. But they
Yeah.
put you in a room where think about like put in a room with like an air conditioner, like a loud one, like next to your ear,
Yeah.
24/7.
That's incredible.
And they wake you up every 3 hours to do blood work and to test your oxygen.
Damn.
So for like a month straight, I basically was running off of like I maybe slept a few hours,
How long were you in the
week.
hospital?
3 or 4 weeks.
That's
Not
crazy.
one fucking text.
Yeah, dude, just chilling in my bed.
Still just like on Instagram liking shit like just normal.
And just
Never-
think he's at
Yeah.
home chilling.
yeah.
And he's in the hospital.
Yeah,
fucking
I was
dying.
just like whatever. Like I was like, if this is it, this is it. Like
Anyway, y'all got a record coming out.
That we do. That we
Push
do.
to the end.
I know you almost died, but
yeah, no,
we're,
that's
we're-
ways.
we're talking about
Yeah,
us.
I almost die a lot, so that's more interesting.
yeah. Sounds like it. Yeah, new record, May 16th, Nowhere Bound.
That's right. Bridge 9.
Shout out Bridge 9.
I know, I saw that.
I had no idea either, so that's
Yeah.
even
That
nicer.
flag's cool.
Right.
Some cool records on
What
there.
is it? So, what is this? Studio album 6 now? Total?
I'd say so, right?
Man, there's some demos and stuff.
Yeah,
like-
True Death, Friends Really Forever.
Those are rookie numbers. Got to get those up.
6 as far as Spotify's concerned.
Then, yeah, 6. Yeah, we didn't put out a record for like 10 fucking years. Like 2009 to 2019, we didn't put out a record. So
yeah, but when you guys came out with Peace and Quiet, or I'm sorry, Our Glory Days.
Yeah.
Banger album.
Yeah,
That's
Better
personally-
Ways to Die is a record. Our Glory Days is a single. But yes, whatever. We're there. No, it was good. That was 2009, and then the next one was 2019. Unfinished Business.
Oh, I thought. Yeah, you're right. Obviously, you're right. I thought the timeline was different.
Nope, that's it. So yeah, new one's coming out. Ben's gonna tell you about it because we gotta get Ben his moment of fame.
We had
Yeah.
10 new songs and intro. Me and B-roll, we kind of like right when he started back in the band about 2022, we started trading demos back and forth. Came up with maybe about 20 songs before we all started boiling them down to what really seems like a DBD record.
Songs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was cool, man. We're pretty proud of it. You
Yeah.
know, worked with Zeus again, which is always great. He's got quite the
Hell yeah,
discography.
Western Mass hardcore.
Shout out.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot.
Push button warfare.
Push button warfare. Yep. Hell yeah. No, it's we're looking forward to it, man. The first couple singles are already out, but 2 weeks to go. So
Do you think you're trying anything like different on this one that you've done before?
I just think it's like I think it's Step for Dishonor. I think it has a fresh feel to it. The songs we like. I don't know if this is purpose, but like I feel like the changes in the songs are more like current to what's going on. They're just not long. They're not like run-on sentences by any means. It's like getting to the point of the songs are there, they hit, give them the fast part, give them the breakdown, in and out. You know what I mean? But I think it's still relevant to Depth for Dishonor, but it just has like a more fresh feel on it. That's my opinion on it. What do you think?
when we came out with Unfinished Business after 10 years, our approach was really just kind of put it all into energy and trim the fat. Short
No
short
bullshit.
track list.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a short record, but it has everything and it punches you. This one we took our time a little more. We added transitions that weren't really there, but it's still got the energy. It's still got everything you want from DBD.
Yeah. When you have time to sit and let it breathe,
Yeah.
that's
was
when it
just it.
really like starts to open up. Like, damn, we shouldn't have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we came in really prepared. We had multiple different demo versions of
so
all the
much shit.
songs, different lyric sets for each song. Like we definitely took our time.
Yeah.
Which, we feel proud that it how it came out.
Yeah, having time with it for sure contributes. Ben's been in the band for a minute. He helped with Unfinished Business, the last record, and the single, and then B-roll coming back into the band. Just a fresh approach to things, but like he said, like it's still Depth for Dishonor. Yeah, we had a bunch of time with it, practiced a bunch off of it, ironed out stuff, had a bunch of demos. Came out good. I'm psyched on it. Can't wait till it comes out. We recorded it fucking forever ago, it feels like.
And you guys still, I know this, but actively practice like in person and shit, which seems to be lost.
Yeah, no, we do. Well, especially when we're home. I mean, if we got like a break for a bit, we're not there all the time. Lately, we have been practicing like once a week. Besides when people got like shit to do, just because we have the new record coming out and playing these new songs like all together with the band and just getting tight with it in different set lists. But even still, we try to like, even if we do a run and we're home for like a month and then we got something coming up, we try to practice a couple times just to be tight. I think we always try to come off tight as best as we can,
Right.
you know.
It's
But I
been long
do think
enough.
a practice is a lost art at times, but I enjoy it. Sometimes it feels like a chore, but you know.
It's nice going into shows, you know, not like we don't always have like one after the other. Sometimes there's a couple weeks in between, and it's nice coming in a little bit warmed up, you know, even if you play the songs a million times, like
Not guessing what the fuck we got to play and
Exactly.
forgetting shit. So yeah, it's
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And like you got to figure, we've been a band for fucking 20 years, right? We have 5 different records. We don't play an hour. I mean, unless we're in Europe or some weird shit. But like, you know, it's a half an hour. So sometimes we were like, oh, let's play some random song off of fucking God knows what record. Got to practice it, right? And then, and also practicing songs that like, just the catalog is shit, just to like be on top of shit. If some kid's like, hey, play this obscure song. Unless it's too obscure, then we just won't fucking play it. But
That's when we give them the checks in the mail.
yeah.
Were you back in the day? Were you in other bands?
I was in a band called Incision before Death for Dishonor. That was like 90. I always fuck my timeline. I think it was like 96 to 99. We put out like a demo. I didn't even start the band. So there's a band called Incision. It was the original drummer of Death for Dishonor. The guitar player of this band called Brawl Park from back in the day, he sang for it. And then it was 2 singers, and the singers quit.
Sick.
And then I ended up being the only singer. So I think they did a demo before me, and then we recorded a demo. We put out a record. We were a band for a few years. We at the time, the spot was 121 in Brockton, which was it was a rehearsal studio, but it did shows. So we practiced out of there, played a bunch of shows out of there, met a bunch of bands, did a bunch of like Northeast touring. Like we played in Philly a bunch, New Hampshire, all types of shit like that, but not like tour, like just Weekend Warrior stuff. And then that band broke up in 99, and then I wanted to do a new band, and that's what Death Before Dishonor eventually became. I mean, it took a couple of years to like put the lineup together. I was trying to get my old drummer to do the band. He was just sick of being in bands. He finally came along, but it took a little bit. We even tried Frankie out. So Frankie was like this kid I knew, and he like rehearsed at a place, and he was like, oh, I could play drums, and we're like, cool. And he came in, and like he could keep a beat, but I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, you can't play drums.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. So, and then we like kept on.
Cyrus did that to us once.
Really?
Yeah. With guitar. He's like, no, I can fill in. I'll play. Shut up. He's like, I don't know anything.
He's come a long way.
Yeah.
Well, not at that time.
So then, like, even later, I remember. So my drummer Dan ended up joining the band, and then we were like, all right. I was like, Frankie, and Frankie was younger. I was like, you know any bass players? He's like, I play bass. I'm like, here we go again. Straight up told him too. I was like, dude, if you can't play bass, we're taking your shit. Like, you're walking out, like, dead serious. I'm like, I'm done with this shit.
Learn
And
today.
dude, and I didn't know, like, he like was like a jazz bassist, like in high school. Dude crushed on it. We were like, damn, all right. And then he ended up, that's how
All right,
he
you
got
get to keep your shit.
But yeah, so Incision and then Death Before Dishonor. I probably had a couple other random like bands, but like nothing that did anything.
Nothing notable.
No, and then once Death Before Dishonor started in 01, we just fucking
That was
been
it.
here ever since. Yeah.
What's some of your favorite stuff that you've done with DBD, like like songs or maybe unreleased shit that you wish did?
I mean, dude, I'm psyched on everything we've done. I think every record has a certain time and place, right? So it's like, I mean, the new stuff I'm psyched on just because it's new, and I do think it's a fresh take on things. And I just wanted to get the fuck out there, but I'll say that because it's current. I don't think there's anything unreleased that we never.
We use about as much as we can.
Yeah, dude.
At least, you know, the stuff that we come up with, if we decide to use it, you know, that's the stuff we flesh out. Like, there's nothing that doesn't get put out that isn't really fleshed out. Like, we'll have riffs that haven't come out.
Yeah.
But, you know, that stuff is nothing to really look back on unless we're going to try to turn it into something.
Right, it didn't make it for a reason.
Yeah,
Exactly,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of like B-sides in our like, dude. And there's been times like even with our first record or second record, I'm sorry, that was like an EP at first. We needed other songs, so we took songs from a split that we put out and just like put it on there to make it a full length. Like, you know, so I think we've beat a dead horse with everything we've ever recorded. But yeah, I'm psyched on everything. I'm psyched on the new record.
Is Colin still playing with you guys, Riley?
No, he hasn't played with us since 2000.
End of 2021.
Yeah, but I feel like he's popped up at a show. To
Well,
play.
dude, I feel like he's been there. He's played with Pale Horse, and we
Yeah,
played with
yeah,
Pale
yeah.
Horse.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's just there, but he hasn't played with us since. Colin was in the band for a long time, helped with Unfinished Business, wrote a bunch of that stuff. And then, like, coming out of the pandemic, we were trying to make moves, and he was just, like, in a different place at that time. He's still, like, forever
Full-blown
DBD.
conspiracy rabbit hole, you mean?
He's still...
Shut up, Colin.
What would make you say that?
But no, just... Oh, dude, you knocked over a vinyl, man. You better hope it's not a true core vinyl.
Yeah.
Reddit is going to lose
just
it
lost
again.
I just lost $100 on the
That's
resale
crazy.
market.
Yeah, so now
Those
Colin
Doom
doesn't play
Riders.
with us. It's just...
What do we got? What do we fuck
It's
up?
Doom Riders.
Oh, fuck.
Those are cool.
No disrespect.
No disrespect.
Those things are a little flimsy anyway, so it's not a big deal.
You know I'm wide. What'd you put?
$8.
It's good imagery for your podcast. I like these records.
They've just been like
This
sitting.
room's fully painted, just for the record.
Yeah,
Alex.
fuck you, Mike.
His name was Alex.
Alex.
What
sorry.
the fuck?
I don't know
Mike
why.
LaChance.
For some reason, the whole time,
Yeah.
I wanted to call him Mike.
The
whole time.
Alex interview, yeah.
The whole time, for some reason, I couldn't get it out of my fucking brain. Like I just wanted to
All
call
right,
him
on the
Mike.
spot. Who are they?
That's Brian
Who's this?
and Ben.
Yeah, but what band
got
is
it.
Ben in?
Instigate.
Yeah.
Only Instigate.
And the rest.
He's only been an Instigate for his entire
That's
life.
it.
That's it.
He is
Never
Instigate.
Original member. Definitely not the third drummer.
Ben's been you've been in a bunch of bands, more than I have, right?
Yeah, that's the drummer's curse too.
Right.
Yeah. We had I played. Steve
got-
will remember
you
probably
got-
For the Glory.
For the glory. Yeah.
That was not the Portuguese For the Glory that people know.
The Providence.
The Providence For the Glory, THA.
Yeah.
Was that two singers?
No, that was one singer.
Two singers.
Yep. Boxed In was two singers. I sang for that. Me and my brother.
Shout out.
Yep.
That's why Brad wanted you in the band.
Yep.
He knew you.
There's
were
a lot of
two
reasons
singers.
I needed Ben.
Same.
Instigate is strategically put together.
Ben has become the glue.
Yeah, 100%.
That's usually how it goes. He's integral to Death Force.
Because he's the drummer.
Yeah, yeah. And he's good.
Your group chat is
Thanks,
probably
guys.
close to ours. Hey, Ben, are you around? Are you home? LOL.
For sure.
What about Instigate? What kind of releases are Instigate doing?
Don't listen.
You know? Like, what's...
If you have to ask, you don't need to know.
Hey, he's in the band. He's here. He's a guest. Got to ask about all his bands.
The thing with Instigate, it's like a fine wine. Okay? You break it out, you put it back in the basement, forget it exists for a while.
Yeah.
Bring it back when it's needed.
Currently, it's hibernating.
All right. It's fermenting.
Yeah.
Been told we'll be
Basically,
recording.
Cody is on tour.
Oh, yeah.
With Boundaries. So that's why, pretty much.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
I've been told we'll be recording, but that might change in 2 months. I don't know.
Or 2
I can't
years.
promise. Or 2 years.
We've been talking about doing a new anything for a while. It's been a while.
We talked about doing a new record from 2011 till 2019.
It's
so
got
I
to
feel like-
ferment. It's
that's-
got to ferment.
That's one of my favorite things about Unfinished Business was we said to Bridge Night so many times, like, yep, about to start recording. We got a bunch of ideas.
Checks in the mail.
And then it
Check
never-
was for sure in the mail.
And it never happened. And then when we finally did, Brian was like, I'm not even going to tell Chris until it's done.
Yeah, dude, I don't think he'll believe me. I just went to the studio and just fucking did it. And then I was like, fuck, I got to pay for this because I didn't tell him that we were fucking doing it.
Is that why it's named Unfinished Business?
Ah, that's awesome. I like that.
Steve's clever. He's got
like
lines.
I learned from the best, Ben.
He's got the one.
Wasn't me.
Who?
Do you have anything planned for the release of the new record?
Why, yes, we do. Yeah, so it comes out the 16th. The 17th, we're playing in Reading, Pennsylvania with Mike McColgan, the original Dropkick Murphy singers, doing like the first record with a bunch of great bands.
That's a good record release area for a Boston band. Reading, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
It's the pre-show.
That's
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Skinhead's on it. We got some Boston people on it.
Yellow Stitches.
No, Yellow Stitches, Skinhead, with some chains.
Liberty and Justice, who we did a Texas run with.
Yeah. So we're doing that on Saturday, the 17th. On the 18th, we're playing Middle East downstairs with Missing Link, Street Power, Soulless, Shadow Realm,
And Give Up Hope.
Give Up Hope.
And that
That's
was
the main event.
an upstairs show that you guys just moved to downstairs, right?
It was Sonya next door, and then that sold out. Sonya just had a little more capacity than upstairs. I don't really love the stage there. I mean, the place is cool. So yeah, it sold out. So we moved it downstairs. It's still moving well. So
Get
come
on
to the
those
show.
tickets while you can.
Did you try to get different venues for it initially, or this just kind of like fell in your lap?
The Middle East has just like been the go-to spot, so we wanted to do it there, and then like the options between upstairs, downstairs, and then Sonya being next door, it's all this same owners. So they were just kind of like gave me the options. I could do whatever. We decided Sonya just for the amount of people and stuff like that, pay the bands, whatever. And then they did say straight up, like, if it does sell out, we'll keep the downstairs available. And I think the downstairs is a better venue for hardcore shows anyways. Sure. It's just a bigger room, you know, so if there's only 200 people, why even fucking bother? But luckily it's selling well. It's still selling well, so we moved it downstairs. So we got that, and then we're doing Haywire's on a, I don't know, fucking
whatever
1 year long tour. But yeah, we're meeting up with Haywire June 14th to 27th on the West Coast for a handful of dates. And then we fly and do the Rumble after that in Chicago. Got a bunch of stuff. We're doing This Is Hardcore this year. Doing a run with Street Power around there on like,
Shout out.
I don't want to say East Coast. Yeah, they just had a record come out.
Chris time. Yes.
Me time.
Me time.
Featuring Brian Deathvoice.
Yeah, I did a guest Fox on that. That was cool. So yeah, we're doing something with them, and then we got a bunch of stuff. I don't know, going to Mexico for a festival, going back to Europe later in the year. We'll be super busy. I mean,
Right, good.
we tend to be busy as it is, and with the new record, plan on trying to hit as many places as we can. Plus, it's 20 years of the Friends Family Forever record, which is fucking crazy, and it's like 30 years of Bridge 9. So later this year,
Iconic record.
thank you.
That sold me.
I'm psyched on it. It's crazy that it's 20 years. It's one of my. We've surpassed 20 years on the True to Death record, but I hate that record, even though we did a re-release of it. Friends Family Forever, I still love that record. So that the original 7 songs that were on the CD or whatever was never on vinyl. It did come out on a version of the vinyl with other stuff. So later this year, hopefully it works out. It'll work out. I just don't know the timeline. But later this year, we're going to do like a vinyl version of the originally Friends Family Forever and do some shows that are like probably that set, because it's the original is just 7 songs, and I'll play those songs front to back. So we'll probably do
that's a banger set.
Yeah. So we'll probably do some stuff with that between later in the year and early next year. So we're super busy with the new record and then doing that Friends Family Forever re-release.
You find it like, I don't know if it's still like this, but is it like the venues in Massachusetts are still kind of like dwindling? Or is it like harder to book anything around?
No, it's dude. VFW
Is it coming back?
Yeah.
Coming
VFWs have been kind of crushing it. I mean, here's the thing: like, true venues are far and few between, but they've always been in Massachusetts. I feel like, you know, especially with hardcore shows, and it depends too. Like, anything in the city gets like eaten up by like property owners, and then they're like, we don't want fucking hardcore.
It was
people
hurting
kicking
for a
people
while.
in the face, right? So, but. Kids and people that do shows will always find a way. So there'll always be like a hall or something that'll do a show. And I feel like
those are cooler anyway.
they are, you know, and there's a lot of different, you know, the stuff up in PBD or something like that. I see flyers
There's
for.
a VFW everywhere.
Yeah. And
Or
kids are doing
PNI
shows
or
there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
fucking Elks.
Because it was hurting for a while. Like it got to a struggle where couldn't book anywhere.
Yeah. And I feel like if
Punk
people.
rock gets a little rowdy.
It does.
Yeah.
And if people
the
don't want to
wave,
take the energy to like go out and find or like approach the VFW, right? You need that person that's like the contact that goes to the VFW and it's like, hey, can we do fucking shows here? I mean,
Shout out Dean.
like I feel like, you know, whenever people are like, oh, venues are dwindling, I do think they do, but people always find a hall or a basement or a fucking warehouse, right? I mean,
I think if the scene is thriving, they're gonna find a way to
100%.
get venues. Even the venues last for like 2 shows.
Well,
They'll
that's what I
find
meant.
somewhere else.
That's what I meant about COVID being good for hardcore.
sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So
Well, it's also like the venue owners like almost closing down for that shit. So
Yeah,
they're
like a
if
lot of
somebody
them-
wants to rent this hall for $1,200,
yeah,
True.
$1,200, bro. I would love $250.
Yeah.
Like it's really not $12. You can get a VFW for $500 if that.
Right. And if people are buying some beers there and stuff, not that everybody drinks, but, you know, that's just money they weren't going to have. So they're psyched because usually those things are like, you know, like for vets and stuff, it's not like they're packed out. You know what I mean? They have their regulars and stuff. And I think the other thing I think is important aside from the VFW stuff, which are sick, it's cool that we still have the Middle East because I do think it's important that each city kind of has like that predominant venue that, because sometimes people do fall out and don't know where like shows are at, right? So having that one spot that brings young and old bands together no matter what is always crucial. Like throughout years in Boston, whether it was Brockton, different venues, whether it was 121 or Tigers Den or the city when it had the Rat, and Middle East has always been there but didn't do hardcore shows for a bit. Every era has like a venue, and I think you need that venue because that will always bond younger and older people. Like, it's common knowledge that there's hardcore shows here, and if you don't know where to look, at least look on their fucking website or call. You know what I mean?
Right.
For sure.
Ask a punk.
Ask a punk, right? But with that said, then that branches off when you're at the Middle East and you're like, I know there's shows here, and some kid's like, here's a flyer for the, I don't know, Peabody VFW. You know, then you find out about flyers. So I do think there's a good mix of. At least Boston's lucky still having the Middle East having shows, and then and they're cool about hardcore shows at this point. You know what I mean? There was a period of time where they didn't allow hardcore shows.
What was that?
A lawsuit. Someone got a neck broken.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yes. And then I think there was a lawsuit against there, and I mean, I'm sure there was a million other things happening that they were just like kind of over some headaches.
Listen, look, let's just get into it. Let's talk about the Tigers Den. Let's just get right into it.
Tigers Den was a unique spot. But here's the thing. So as somebody that grew up in the Brockton area, my original Tigers Den was 121. So when the Rat closed down in 96, 97, I forget what year, and that was in downtown Boston, that was our CBGBs. That closed down because one of the colleges took over that property. It was right in Kenmore Square. This place in Brockton, 121, it was 121 Main Street, was a rehearsal place. And they had a huge fucking stage in one room, and they started doing shows there. And not just like crazy shows. So that was my first, and that was like home to me because I'm from Randolph originally. Brockton's down the street. My band rehearsed there, you know what I mean? And then that lasted till 99. There was some crazy hate breed show that ended, and money went missing, and a lot of weird shit. That building also is now a courthouse. Like at that time in Brockton, like we would rehearse there and just sit on the front brick wall, and you'd just get guns pointed at you all the time. Like it was really bad at that time. Now, not that Brockton isn't bad, but now it's just part of the courthouse, and it's like amazing. And
Probably one or two less guns.
Sure. So with that said, and even before that, there was a venue called Derringer's way back in the day that like Biohazard played one of their first Massachusetts show, I'm sure. Regardless, so that's the history of Brockton. Then Tigers Den popped in, what was it, 2004, 5?
Something like that.
I don't know. I mean, it was an integral part of, so it had to be 2004 because Death for Dishonor's Friends Family Forever that came out in 2005. Our record release was at the Tigers Den. So, and that was around, dude, my years fuck, but that was around like 4 or 5 years. And that place, once again, so like when Boston falls out for a venue, Brockton picks it up, right? Because it's, half hour outside the city, and the people doing shows. I mean, when 121 was popping, it was Chris Mission, Chris Churchill, and then when Tigers Den started, Chris Mission started that with other people, you know what I mean? It wasn't only him. Dan Mandel did the 121 with him. Those dudes were in Punch the Clown. And then moving on to Tigers Den, COA was like heavily involved in that and stuff like that. But that was like our home. Like that was our home. Death Before Dishonor's like home base. We played there all the time. Some crazy fucking shows there. That was like the Wild West because that was Brockton. Once again, Brockton's getting nicer. So where 121 was, like Main Street's fine. We were in like the crack neighborhoods for Romans, Tigers Den, whatever. I forget what it was called.
Brockton's just legendary in general for that time. Like if I talk to anybody from out of state, they're like Brockton.
Yeah, it was well known. I mean, so also too, because it wasn't a big club, it was like run by hardcore people, like, and they had to do shows all the time. Like every type of band played there. Where like some of the bigger clubs, sometimes it's like only known bands play, right? Brockton, like anybody could play, and it'd be cool lineups. And it was hardcore dudes doing the shows that would put together the lineups. Like, dude, this band's playing Brockton. Yeah, just like or like even like B-level bands that you think you would never see. I shouldn't say B-level, but like this band never leaves fucking, I don't know, Queens, and they'll come here. You know what I mean?
They never leave their home state.
Because like the dudes booking the shows were like, oh, let's get creative. Let's put on bands that we want to see, and it led to crazy lineups, and the shows were like wild style. I mean, you went in, it was a fucking bar. The shows were upstairs. It had a stage, right? Yeah, we built a stage, and it was wild. Kids, there was no security. We were security. We booked the shows.
Security doesn't exist.
No.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Growing up in Rhode Island, I'd hear when Tigers Den was popping. I was too young for a license, but I was into it, and I'd catch any ride that I could. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, but I would catch any ride to any show I could. So I'd have to really like pick if I wanted to get to a show. But you didn't really hear too many rumors about venues, but I would hear rumors about Tiger's Den from like my older friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd catch rides there. The first time I went there, I had to be like 15 or 16, and there was a crime scene tape stretched across the parking lot. Like, what the
No, we're still open. Come in. Come on in.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah. But that's, as soon as I got my license, that's, the only place I wanted to be.
I'm the same way. Oh, that place sounds awful. Let's get over there.
Yeah.
Let's get. I want to go see what's up now.
Exactly.
Well, too, like, you also got to think too historically in hardcore. Now times are a little different, right? So not every, but so even the worst places are like on the come up, right? The worst parts of Boston come up. Years ago, like when hardcore shows happened, a certain type of venue or place had to allow this insane shit happening, right? Like if you're on the outside and you're like, all right, a bunch of people jumping on the stage and kicking each other in the face, like, all right, it's usually in a bad fucking neighborhood. Right. It's never, I mean, now it's different, but back then, most of the time you're like, sketchy, right? So it's sketch going into it. The club has to be like, yeah, sure, come in, put holes in my fucking wall. I don't care. Just fucking patch it afterwards,
Right.
Put a sticker on it.
You need to be in a place
I'll
that
buff out.
has bigger problems than hardcore shows.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, like, I mean, this area too, though, I mean, the stop sign at the end of the street, people are getting shot once a week. It was crack houses across. We
What
used
you
to
standing there for?
get out of there. We used to, like, a bunch of us would always, like, when the show was starting, kind of be outside, and it'd be funny because they'd be like kids getting dropped off by their parents. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is insane.
That's how I met my guitarist.
Yeah, that's awesome.
His dad dropped him and a couple two young moshers.
Yeah.
A couple two tree off at the warehouse in Fitchburg. Pitch black, shitty warehouse. Me outside.
Yeah. But that's, like you said right there, that's how we were for that generation. We'd all stand outside. Listen, regardless of what's going on the street, like, we kind of keep an eye on these kids that come in, make sure they're fine. I mean, their parents are probably like, I don't know what these are, but and there were a few like run-ins with some locals and stuff, but we figured things out and kind of kept it kosher. So like the dudes on the other side of the street were doing their thing.
It's punk rock shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they're
just
like,
let it be.
Oh, you a rocker, fool? Okay.
Yeah. Definitely might have. We definitely butted heads with some people there, not on purpose. Just like kids leaving hardcore shows, being wild in the street, and some street kids being like, "What are you doing?" And then we got to get
they're still all
involved
hyped up and
for sure. But that place was definitely very important for a certain era in hardcore, and I think it led to for us in Death for Dishonor, it was super important. Like, that was home base. We played crazy shows there. Like, it did get to the point where like we're kind of playing all the fucking time, where it's like
you have to cool
You gotta
it a
pay
little
rent,
bit.
dude. That's how it goes.
exactly, But it was.
I can
our
hear
spot.
JB talking about it right now.
Yeah.
We gotta fucking find bands.
Yeah. Well, and then they started like leaning into like some more pop punk stuff, and that was big in like the mid 2007s. That was popping.
A Lost for Words.
A Lost for Words. Yeah. A lot of bands. So
Set your goal.
set your goals. Yeah. Set your goals. Yeah.
40
And
strong.
same thing with all those bands that like would play hardcore shows too, but then they started getting a really big thing going on. So then on top of it, those dudes like, so one Friday would be a hardcore show, and it was always Fridays at the Tiger's Den. I don't know why. I think they just had every Friday, but they wanted to book every Friday. So they kind of had to keep it filled, but then they started burning out with just hardcore bands. So they started doing punk rock bands and stuff like that. And I forget what year it ended. I wouldn't even fucking have a clue.
Last show I went there was 2009.
Okay, so it made it that far.
But there was like a renovated couple years.
Yeah.
Like,
Here's the other thing
big
too.
Wood floor and
In that time, 06 to whenever it ended, Death for Dishonor, as much as we played there all the time, we were on tour 250 days a year. And I'm not lying, like actual 250 days a year. So like, as much as we're playing there, we're also never around, like coming and going,
Right.
So I forget when it ended, but that place was sick.
How'd it end?
Well, so
I got.
I
Go
don't.
ahead.
I would honestly, and this isn't like for this, I would need my memory to be refreshed because I there's so much shit there. I mean, but even when it started,
All of a sudden, nobody remember nothing.
So the record release. So in 2005, Friends with Forever record release. It was. I forget what the lineup was, but Death for Dishonor and Death Threat was going to headline Death Threat's reunion show. Their last show was 2 weeks before that in Connecticut that we played. Anyways, Death Threat I don't think got to play. There was a misunderstanding with the old owner.
Yes,
I
of
think
course.
that was before it was Tigers then. But yeah, it was unfortunate. But
tragedy.
new owners came in and things worked out, and then it went from Yeah, that's when it became Tigers Den. Right? Did it end as Tigers Den? Fuck, my
I
brain.
think it ended as Romans.
It ended as Romans. Okay, so then Tigers Den is how it started. That gentleman, that guy actually ended up owning
Max's.
I was
Blues
just-
Guy.
I was
Played a
just
lot,
gonna
yeah.
bring that up. Did you hear what happened to them?
Oh, God,
Recently?
imagine.
Yeah, they got shut down for like
Shocking.
running coke out of there.
Well,
That's
bro,
crazy.
How long ago was that though? Because that building has looked pretty worn down.
It
since,
has, but I
years
knew that
now.
was for sale and no one bought it. And that's like prime property because it's like right on the other side of T. Like, not that Brockton's Brockton, but it's funny that you say that because I'm pretty sure that gentleman was just known for having problems with that stuff or something like that. I don't know.
I went there for a show, Max's
Yep.
once, and the fucking gambling machine still had the Tigers Romans fucking.
Oh,
bouncy-
really?
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
see?
went to one like deathcore show
you
down
with.
there.
Well, you were with me. I'm pretty sure.
No, this was one when I was at UMass Lowell.
Oh no,
I
I
went
with
on
Haley.
my
Yeah,
own.
never mind. Yeah.
And I saw the Tigers Den thing, and I was like,
Huh?
where am I?
Yeah.
I think the end of Tigers Den or Romans or whatever it was at the very end in 2009, I do think it was a matter of someone selling the building at the end. They were like cool because, granted, there were times where there's too many shows, not everyone was packed, but like they were a bar in the hood with like a whole upstairs that like afterwards it became a church, which makes sense because it has a whole upstairs. I don't know what the fuck are you doing.
Congregational area.
Exactly. So they were just psyched that we were in there filling the place on a Friday night or just putting heads in there and people would spend money at the bar downstairs and no one's
Worked
getting
out.
shot in the place and like
Well,
whatever.
so that's the thing is hardcore stops at like 11 latest.
Right.
Which so people are going to stay and drink. They're going to drink during
Right.
those times where the bars
Absolutely.
are mostly dead anyway.
Yeah.
And then usually people that don't want to hang out there just leave.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of stupid to not give the opportunity if
Right.
you can get even if you get fucking 20 kids.
I agree.
That's enough.
And that was the
you
move
know.
back in the day. Like, so if we didn't have a spot aside from a VFW, and like we were always close to Brockton. So for when in between venues in Brockton, we would just be like, just go to areas that you're like, these, like you drive by on a Friday and be like, this bar is dead. Let's go in there tomorrow morning and talk to them and see if they'll do shows. You know what I mean? And whoever it was that like, it had to be like Colin or Chris or one of them definitely went into Romans and was like, hey, let's do shows here or whatever, you know, because we would actively like try to find places or just like jot places down, like we got to go in this place. See? And some places would be cool, but some places would just like, some owner would be an asshole and be like, you can't do this here, and then fight ensues.
Those always go well.
Yeah, they usually end horrible. Kind of like the Applebee's story you guys were talking about with Alex. Like when you play a restaurant and the owner's like, you can't, like.
Oh, you listened. Thank you.
No, it was a good.
Show prep.
Oh, it was a clip. Yeah, it was a clip. No, it was
No,
only
no,
a clip.
I listened to the whole thing. It was good.
no,
Yeah,
thank you.
It was good. And like, when you had asked to do this, and I was like, I caught a couple of them. I just get busy. But Alex has been around forever. I've known Alex forever, so it's like, it was a good interview.
You got mentioned in it, dude.
Yeah.
Local name drop.
And then I started listening to the G1, and I listened to others. But yeah, it was a cool interview. So yeah,
what was it like for you, not being you were younger and all that, going to Tigers Den as a fan, as a young mosher, if you will?
Well, the first time I was there was.
Oh, Ben will catch Pitt.
Yeah.
Don't let him fool you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
A YM.
I got well, the first time I went there was with like 4 or 5 of my buddies from my town in Rhode Island, and we just all packed into my buddy's Jeep and rolled up. Like I said, there was the
5 people in a Jeep.
Oh yeah.
That sucks.
That's the entire population.
When you're
he's a
young,
little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm barely a person.
That's the entire. That's the entire population of Rhode Island.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, so I think Pale Horse was playing when we walked in, and I could just see the chandelier, like the light fixture on the ceiling, just shaking like crazy.
Oh, downstairs.
Well,
from whatever's going
we walk
upstairs.
in, bar full of bikers, and I'm like, where the fuck am I? I walk upstairs, and I'm just like, there's nowhere to be without getting smashed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know Shere Khan played that day as well, and the guy standing next to me caught one and had. It was like a faucet of blood just pouring out of his mouth.
Was that the guitar smash?
It wasn't that show. It was a little later on.
okay.
That's the video, right?
Iconic move.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, the person he hit is our forever merch guy. that he knew too, but it was just like in the video.
Fucking
boom,
Chimpo,
split his
right?
helmet. No, Little Ryan.
Oh,
Little
yeah,
Ryan.
yeah.
But
Shout out, give up hope.
Give up hope. Yeah. But yeah, caught him like a motherfucker on that video shoot. But yeah, sorry.
No, but
Listen, that'll happen.
Yeah.
Hardcore is a full contact sport.
Hey,
Period.
Yeah.
no one said.
You cannot stand anywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's why back of the room moshing was accepted. It's because people get scared and they make the horseshoe.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, you're only cool if you do it up front. Fuck that. Jump the
right,
bar.
right.
Ruin their time.
Well, I mean, even at Tigers then especially, so I mean the whole room, like you were saying, you had to mosh it on the back would be the merch tables, but people would just fucking die.
Oh, yeah.
Merch tables are launch pads. That's all that
I
is.
remember,
100%.
I remember Chris Nothing picking me up and on his shoulder running me into that little hallway there where the door was.
Yeah.
Just like, there really
Because that was
is
the
no
one
way.
spot that you could kind of stand, like you
Yeah.
get in the store
But you wouldn't see
upstairs,
anything.
and then there's a little hallway in the rooms there, and people get like nervous and stay there. But then
Shout out Chris Nothing.
someone would just run through that fucking hallway and just hit everybody. You know?
That's like the people who thought they were safe at Anchors Up on the stairs.
Yeah.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
No.
another iconic Massachusetts venue,
Right.
very important venue.
Yeah.
Sorry, but back to your going shows.
I mean, there was a couple. I never made it. I wasn't a regular there, but I made my trips. You know,
Poser, if you will.
I was a poser, yes.
Well, you lived in, what was it, like a 45 minute ride?
It was,
Probably 45
about
minutes.
45 minutes to
Yeah.
an hour,
Yeah.
Again, wasn't even driving at that time, so I wasn't, had to pick I was at the mercy of where my friends wanted to go, and every now and then I'd get lucky or something like that, but a lot of the times I'd end up at, shows that, I see a lot of crust punk shows in Providence.
I can smell it already.
Oh, it's bad. Patchouli.
Those are the worst.
Dungeons and Dragons is fake. Hardcore is real.
Shout out, Colin.
Never identify with something more.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you. Someone said it.
You think you're not fucking core.
You act like a core and you're not.
I feel like I missed out on a lot of stuff that time frame too because I moved to South Carolina,
We're in South Carolina.
Georgetown. It's like 45 minutes away from Myrtle Beach.
Okay, cool, yeah.
It's there's just nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
There's a paper factory.
Okay.
Sounds like fish.
Yeah. We
It's
played
it.
Myrtle Beach a couple
Like-
times, like way, but what year was this? Mid 2000s?
Ooh, 2008.
Okay. I don't think
Around.
Myrtle Beach had much. We played Myrtle Beach every now and again, but it was more like Savannah, Georgia had a spot, and then
It
Did you play
was
the
yeah.
Fitchburg, the 490?
I've never played the 490. I've been there.
No.
Well, my old band probably could have, like time frame. Dishonor, I don't.
Kind of a big deal.
Well,
No, I'm saying like Dishonor. I don't think was around for Club 490. I don't know when
Yeah.
that.
I'm talking like I was. I just know.
No, 490 was like one of
Yeah.
those spots, but I don't think I even made a show there. The only place that another place, I don't know that it's out this way. Where's St. John's Gym? Was it Clinton?
Clinton.
oh yeah.
That's
So
where the
St. John's
warehouse
Gym
was,
in
right?
Clinton. Yes, Clinton had the warehouse.
So St. John's
Hudson
Gym was like an
Roller Rink.
iconic place for a while, and I remember like seeing like crazy fucking lineups there. And
Converge, Dillinger
Guns
Skate.
Out.
yeah, like Sam Black would play there, but also like Sick of It All. I remember driving out there, or having someone drive. I don't know if I had a license then to go see some crazy show, and not that it was far, but I mean this is before like MapQuest and the internet. So whoever was driving fucked up and Boston traffic, and all I know is we got there and the show was over.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Right, so I've never seen a show there, but like there was a lot of iconic shows there.
Hudson
Club
Roller
490.
Kingdom.
In
What's
like
that? Hudson Roller
2009,
Kingdom?
Yeah.
10, we had a practice space in
Yeah.
St. John's Gym.
Oh, really?
Like
Yeah.
somehow we knew someone
That's sick.
that had
Maybe
a
we
spot,
should-
but we
Yeah.
had no idea that was.
It was a
going
big
on.
room,
Yeah.
right? I heard that it was a big. The venue was big, yeah.
Oh, it was huge.
Huge, yeah. Okay.
They
It was
do,
a skate park.
They
Yeah.
do like Lucky Pro Wrestling. It was a skate park that they put together
Yeah.
and then dismantle when they were done.
It was kind of like the Bill Ricca jam spots. There was just like a ton of extra rooms.
Okay.
I remember
like,
I was
just
like
to-
10 years old. My dad took me to
Yeah.
the skate park and it was a wrestling event going on.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
See.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need to
Love
bring that back and do some.
There might. That
Is it a
actually
gym
worth
still?
somebody- yeah. It's a building still. I don't know
Okay.
what they're doing. It's worth it. Central Mass has a long legacy in hardcore. And that's
No, it
why-
does.
Yeah,
I mean,
people
too-
rag on it, but it's true.
No, all bullshit aside. I mean, even like so for a minute in Boston, after the Rat, when there were shows in Brockton, then Jeremy from Diecast, and he's from Clinton or something like
Yeah.
that, and he was doing shows on Lansdowne Street at a venue. It wasn't Mama Kin's. I forget what it was called, but he picked up the brunt work for shows for a minute because the Rat had been gone, and he was doing shows. Some smaller club on Lansdowne Street. I forget the name of it, but yeah, there's a lot of Western, a lot of bands from Western Mass. Diecast
Central.
was technically
Central.
Central.
God damn it.
What else was Central? Kenai Central?
Fuck Keith.
Overcast, maybe.
I forget if they're Western. I think they're Western Mass.
Oh, no.
Or probably scattered members.
Yeah.
Bass player from Push Button was in Shadows Fall, and they're kind of Central Mass.
Central.
Yeah,
Man.
they're
Well,
Central.
Brian still lives in Fitchburg, if I remember correctly. You'll see him around every now and then.
Gotcha. How can you miss them, right?
Well, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't even know him. I just,
Right, but
I've
you can
seen
see
him.
who he is, yeah.
No, he used to come into Best Buy all the time.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I was
so,
saying.
yeah.
Roller Kingdom was a cool spot too. I mean,
Roller
the last
Kingdom, yeah.
Guns Up show, we played there.
Yep.
The last Guns Up show, there was
Popcorn machine, bro.
wild. Yeah. Where was that? Hudson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still a building, too, that might be worth it. However, that's
Wasn't-
like a festive-size hall.
It has to be. So that they would also sometimes put you over in a different spot so it didn't feel as big because that's a big room. So the last Guns Up show, that made sense. But every other show there, it was cool. They were we played there, played some fun shows, but the room just feels so big. You know what I mean? It's almost even when Colin and Chris were doing that new Brockton VFW. When they did it the wide way, it just felt weird. And then they started doing it the long way, and it felt better. But yeah, the sizes and shape of a room, as much as you want to do shows, can throw off a feel sometimes. You know what I mean?
They turned that into a legit spot. We played a couple shows that were good there, but again, the layout was everything.
Yeah, layout makes a fucking big difference.
Absolutely.
A room that's too big is not...
Yeah, you'd rather
be too
packed,
small,
right?
pack 'em in.
But also when you're limited to spots, and you're say you're hey, we got to find a spot in the Clinton area.
Yeah.
Beggars can't be choosers, right? So someone's yeah, here you go. You're all right, we'll fucking fill it.
I feel like you can pack out the spaces now easier, though.
Yeah, there's a lot more. Hardcore
Internet
is
helps.
pretty, especially with the right bands on it. Mm-hmm. I mean,
Haywire.
I was really just about to say, yeah.
The VFW is the last, or was the first real regular Brockton spot that I can remember. There were attempts.
Yeah.
Max has had a couple, a decent amount of shows. But
Never felt right.
It didn't
Never
get,
felt right.
Yeah, it
Never
didn't get
felt
the
right.
kind of
and
cultural
certain bands
traction.
wouldn't go there too.
Yeah,
certain
it was-
people that were involved to previous stuff
Yeah,
were just
yeah.
it wasn't even fuck. It was just a headache.
Yeah, too
Why
soon
bother? You
after,
know what
it
I
didn't-
mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And I do feel sometimes a scene runs its course. Not a scene, but when things are popping
area.
and it's cool.
That's
it kind
just
of, and it had a good tenure for 10 years, and it's kind of dying off, and the venue goes, and it's almost like everybody goes their separate way. You got to give it a breather for a year or two, and then maybe reconvene.
Then when you come
Sometimes.
back, it's all the nostalgia
Sometimes.
comes
Let it
hitting back.
marinate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And too soon after.
The
yeah,
biggest thing
yeah.
too at Brockton, times are different. So with the internet and people popping up with bands everywhere is awesome. But the other thing is culturing bands that are from that area or that city or that venue, right? So when we first started doing Tigers Den, and I say we I didn't book the shows there, but we were involved in it. There was a handful of bands, but all the kids that went to shows there wanted a place, and they started their own bands. And that was very important because they got their friends from high school to come there, and it made the
Right.
scene bigger and bigger. So if you find St. John's gyms to do a show again, you can do a couple that are bangers, right? You can put Haywire on. But if kids don't start bands in those towns and bring more new kids in or kids of their age group, a scene's only as good as who contributes to it. And when I say
Right.
scene, I just mean a venue in a
It's
town.
It's important for parents that are hardcore kids to introduce them. Don't bring your kid to a fucking show. Sorry, don't.
Right.
But introduce them to music.
Sure,
Bring
sure,
them,
sure.
Bring
Yeah.
them to
A concert.
No, not even a concert.
Okay.
Introduce them to playing guitar.
Oh, yeah,
music
I see what you're saying.
classes.
Yeah.
Or even fucking
Yeah.
on a piano. Fucking
I know what you
violin,
mean. Get them into
whatever.
music in general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because drums.
Yes, yes.
Because I personally am not that musically inclined, as we all know.
I scream.
But
I'm not
a
either. I'm
lot of
with
my
you.
friends were, and that's how I was introduced to it back in the day. So there's a lot of kids out there that aren't really musically inclined, but they also never had the chance to go to a class and never
Right.
did this. Schools don't really do them anymore.
No, they
some of them.
barely do.
So yeah, COVID got weird. So if you have a kid and you're a hardcore kid, give them drum lessons.
No, you're not. So, dude, you mentioned that just made me think of something. So, when I first started getting into hardcore, many fucking moons ago, I dropped out of high school. I was working at Domino's, and I met this dude. So I was at Domino's in Randolph. This is Domino's in Holbrook, and this guy was picking up supplies or whatever. Same owner, and he had a hardcore shirt on. He was an older dude, and I was like, "You're in hardcore?" And back then it was hard. This is 90.
A familiar.
94
It's rare.
95 90, no, this had to be 95 96.
Daywalker.
So I would have been I should have dropped 96, something like that. I don't know. Anyways, this dude's like, oh, I'm in a band called Brawl Park, and this is a band that I grew up on. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He's like, you should come to our rehearsal place and just like hang out. And I was like, dude, this is sick. And then going there and just being like, oh, a band is just like 5 dudes that like just get together and have gear and just like
Hang out.
play music, hang out, do cover,
Bother people with
But if
their
I didn't
art,
see that, I wouldn't think you could just start a band. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
So
yeah.
you're right. Like whether it's an instrument or like, you know, if somebody has a rehearsal spot, like, dude, just go meet people and try, at least go see what it's about. And then you're like, oh shit, like you're just a regular guy that has a guitar and you just fucking play. And that was very like important to me being like, oh, so I can just scream it. And their singer was away at college. So like they would still rehearse and they'd be like, oh, do you want to sing this cover? And I started to sing. I have no fucking music.
That's how it starts. You just
Yeah,
go, I'll be the vocalist, I guess.
Yeah.
Who were you covering at the time?
It was definitely like Madball, Agnostic Front, just like typical
Nice.
like mid '90s
The shit.
Riffs.
stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They were doing Biohazard, but I remember because I didn't know much, and Mad set it off by Madball. Like it was just like an easy song that I knew the words for, so we would just cover that, and then, and that led me into that dude playing guitar for that band, sang for Incision, and then I eventually became the singer of Incision. So, yeah, get out there, meet people, fucking learn how to play an instrument.
Drums.
You were in Fight the... what the other band was you in? Ready to Fight?
Reason to Fight?
Reason to Fight.
Reason to Fight.
I am
Rhode
your
Island
friend,
royalty.
believe it or not. Reason to Fight.
I am. Well, we don't
You're
play
still a
very
band,
much,
yeah.
but I am. Yeah, we're still a band.
What's
We
the point
just-
of breaking up if you're not like, you know? What's the point of breaking up? Just be like, we're not going to play shows for a little bit.
It's the Instigate theory.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
We're broken up all the time.
Him and Greg, it's Greg. That's Greg's one of the
band.
original members of that band, but they both play in DBD, so obviously DBD just takes up a lot of time.
Exactly. And
I'm sure that
Fuzzy-
doesn't help your situation in other bands.
We're right. Yeah, Fuzzy also. He the singer. He owns a like a Muay Thai gym, so he's busy with that. You know, every now and then the stars
gym's
will
he
align. Live for this in Coventry.
I don't know. Shout out, though.
Shout out. Check it out.
Hardcore kids doing things.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, he's great. He's always been into martial arts, but he like last couple of years he finally like started his own gym and really like got it together like that. So he's doing great. But yeah, with those two, Greg and Fuzzy, they started it back in 2001, and they were one of the first like bands that I knew that were local to me, like within my like little area of towns in Rhode Island. I was like, oh, people around here are doing it, and like this band's been around for a while. You know, and they would put my early bands on shows instead of playing, you know, my local, you know, with the kids from my school. They'd be like, all right, well, 25 to Life's playing down the street. You want to play here? You know? And I'd be like, yeah, absolutely.
I'd hop on that show right now.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
Immediately I would play that.
You know it's going to have coverage.
Instigate
Everyone's
25
gonna
to
be
life.
talking about it. Yeah.
Ben did play guitar for 25 to Life, one show.
That
So
I
did
did.
half of fucking America.
And Europe.
Yeah.
One song on one show.
That's it.
One riff.
Yep. Oh, yeah. He was
We
singing.
won't go down that road.
We'll leave that for another show.
So you're racist.
I mean, cut that part out.
Damn. Jesus Christ, dude.
But yeah, reason to fight.
Got you.
Let's
dude.
get into mic stands.
Yeah, you got to, right? Actually, not for nothing. Brandon Davis was supposed to be here today. I'm concerned. Brandon, where are you? Has anybody seen Brandon?
somebody.
He's missing.
Call somebody.
Yeah, let me know. You're gonna blow me off. At least fucking tell me.
Send us a
Come home. Come home. We miss you.
Come home.
Sorry, Brandon.
That's it was like a weird thing to try to find being in a band. Like for me,
Yeah.
when I was younger, down in like around here, it's like you could post something and be like, "Hey, I want to be in a band." You're good.
But that's
But,
post now. But we weren't posting back then.
No, but that's what I'm saying is like even for me, like where I went to high school,
Yeah.
it was just Southern, so it was like
Right,
country,
right.
So it's like nobody listened to that type of shit in that area.
Nobody had
So
Few
when
and far
I
between, I'm
when I
sure,
went
but-
to Myrtle Beach and finally found a few people,
Yeah.
to like
Myrtle Beach
actually
had a little
play
bit of
with.
scene, but I know what you mean. If you're like
a little bit.
45 minutes away, there's nothing.
Shout out Chad.
I was like, I know you're gonna say Chad, but it's funny. Like fast forward a long time is the people I went to high school with.
Yeah.
His old band toured and I hung out with those people.
Oh, okay.
And he posted a picture with some of
That's
my
sick.
old bandmates, and I'm like,
that
how the
fucking
fuck do you know Chad?
That's
I was
awesome.
like,
Small world,
but,
right?
But that's
that shows
it.
how
But it
goes.
never did anything. Like they gatekeeped getting on shows like crazy down
Really?
there. It was insane. Like being in a band down there, if you didn't hang out with certain people, then the people that like put on the shows, they wouldn't book you.
Who the fuck is certain people in South Carolina?
Well, dude,
That's
so I wonder.
I'm saying.
That's interesting, but I wonder if it could, like, two things contribute to that. First of all, people being assholes, right? But second of all, too, like, how many shows are they getting? So on top of that, it's like
Not a lot.
they're fucking absolutely gatekeeping. But dude, I mean, even I mean, to me, being like a South Shore band, like when Death for Dishonor started, it was hard to play like a real Boston hardcore show. We weren't just like, you had to like earn that almost.
There's
like,
a different vibe to. There's two different kinds of BHD.
Sure.
I call it the two sides of Triple B. You know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like if you think about it, there's two different.
And
call it
there
whatever you
always
want.
has been, right?
Yeah.
So like that Triple B is like now, but like even back in the day, there was like a locking out and this or whatever, and no diss on it.
Shout out Rock Vegas.
But Boston primarily, right? Like so, like we started playing like Monday night at Bill's Bar, and dude, I say this all the time, but we played with like the Sweatpant Boners, and it wasn't like a hardcore show. Like it was just like Monday night rock nights, not rock nights, but like whatever, right? And eventually Bill's Bar did Monday night hardcore shows, but it was still like kind of diverse, and like we'd play there and do well, but like we weren't playing. Like then you see flyers for like real hardcore shows. We're like, how the fuck do we play this? And you know, you're trying to like meet not the right, but meet people. You know what I mean? I'm a younger dude.
Yeah.
I've been going to shows and stuff, but like. You don't know, and then all of a sudden, boom! You end up on that one show, and then it just triggers a bunch of stuff. But it's funny because I feel like back in the day, the people that had like the power in a smaller place, it's
Detrimental to like know somebody.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's I can only imagine. And I played a bunch of places. Like we in '04 or something, we did a split with a band from Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yep.
Wilmington has had a scene here and there. They are technically from a city over that didn't have a huge scene, but when they
Yeah.
played, people came. There was like a military base on there.
It's like near like Charleston or something like that.
No, it's a little further north. But
Yeah.
regardless, this band Nourish Flame. But we would play shows in different areas.
Of course, you know.
No, they did the split. It was on my fucking iPod.
Yeah, it was dope. Like, dude, we this is a day like we're doing a weekend and a show gets canceled and.
Did you guys do a split with Nora too?
No,
Or
no, just Nurse Flame.
Somebody-
And we did a split with this band from Europe, but it's the only two splits we did. Black Friday 29. But anyway, so we meet this band, and we're playing like like we eventually do a split, and then they have a little bit of a following, so we're playing VFWs in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina, like Lumberton, South Carolina. I don't know, dude.
Way out there.
And the shows are cool, but you can tell like this is the only show for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's a hardcore show, but realistically, it's anything heavy. So you got like a metalcore, a this, a that. So I can imagine if like there's a
was
spot doing
always-
shows, people are like,
Those
my
always
friends'
run
bands
well.
are playing.
It was
I don't know
always
you.
a mixed batch. Like I could tell you the shows like there's a band called like I Call Fives. It was like a super pop punky band.
Okay.
Then like emo bands, and
Yeah.
then like two hardcore bands, and
Yeah.
then like a deathcore band.
Yeah.
And I'm like that. It was every show.
Yeah, I
because
feel like that's
all
how
you
it
had.
was. Like we would play down there with
Yeah.
like an actual hardcore band,
Yeah.
and other bands. I'm like, why don't you?
There
Nowadays,
were no
it's not weird.
hardcore shows.
What's that?
Nowadays, it's not even.
No,
weird
it's
to do.
not.
Yeah.
And dude, I actually even then it was kind of cool because like we would play these middle of nowhere places in these VFWs or these weird clubs would be packed out with fucking weirdos, and at least the 20, 30 hardcore kids had like someone to mosh to.
We're
You
there
know
to
what I mean?
Yeah.
ruin everybody's time. Yeah.
Right. It was just.
I
it
feel
was
like
weird.
down there they were a little more kind of just like. I mean, I don't think the moshing was as heavy as like up here.
No.
And I feel like,
Sir.
and I feel like
Close.
the kids that were
No,
there
sir.
would take the regular mosh hit and just be like, "This is sick, bro."
Oh no,
Like,
down there, if you did what's considered normal up here,
Yeah.
it was a swarm beat
yeah.
every time
But that makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
because it was just like
It's not what we do. Right?
like I say this, and I don't know if anybody's gonna know what I'm talking about. Like they're like Surfside kids.
Okay.
So like Surfside was like maybe like 10, 15 minutes outside of Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
But those were like the only kids that kind of grew up with each other that liked that music, like
Okay.
hardcore and shit. So like they had like their little crews and stuff like that, like fresh out of high school. So like
Right,
whatever.
right.
But at the
Yeah, that
time,
happens.
that was the age group. That's it. There was no old heads. There was no
Right.
nothing.
That's
So
the
it
other
was
thing in
just
these areas. It's harder. You don't have like the older generation.
There was
to
no
guide
mentors,
You. Exactly.
nothing.
You need the mentors, and it's like It's interesting. You see that in certain areas because we've toured so much. You're like, oh, this place pops out, has a scene for like a year, it's sick, and then dies off.
Yeah.
But it's not like known for hardcore, so it doesn't have that generational of people that like keep it going or tell the young kids like, yo, start a band, get out there, like tell your friends to start a band.
Small world though. That was when I was living down there in Surfside. That was the first time I saw Diecast. It was in a small bar.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple of years, I ended up buying one of the guitar player's 5150 amp from him.
Oh, really?
And I ended up selling that years later for something else, but it was just like weird.
Which guitar player? John?
At the time, he was like one of the skinnier dudes with long hair.
Yeah, probably John.
But everybody had long hair.
Yeah,
but
That's
anyway.
why hardcore's so cool. Somebody
Yeah.
knows you.
Yeah, always.
Somebody
always,
knows
Yeah,
always.
it was just cool because after the show, I'm like, I don't know, I'm like 17 years old at this point. We're just like talking to him. It was in a random bar. They were just hanging out, and they wanted to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
So like Diecast for, I've been a fan ever since. I was like, these guys are just from fucking here.
Yeah.
And I've
Literally
saw them for
here.
the first time down there.
Yeah, that's cool.
But what I was saying is when it comes to, there was no mentors like you said, and there was nothing like that. So you had to rely on the other people your age to run shows.
Yeah.
But had no anything to really secure venues, to secure anything.
Right.
And people that were running the shows and getting the shows were still getting dropped off by their parents.
Yeah, that's
Like,
a wild. That's interesting.
It was just such a weird dynamic. I'm sure it's fine now.
Sure, yeah.
Like
yeah,
everywhere,
yeah,
I think is fine now.
Well, I mean,
but-
you got to think the more and more, and you're talking about like mid to like 2007, right? 2006,
6,
5,
7, 8,
and
yeah.
that's like the beginning of the internet, right? There's message boards and stuff.
Right.
Now with the internet and everything is so in front of you, you can understand what hardcore is, which I know what it was like in the '93, and that was like finding hardcore and learning about it was very
drawing
difficult.
flyers.
Yeah. So, but and then I know what it was like in the 2000, and then it's like, oh, cool. There's message boards. We can find out stuff. That's how I found that band, Nourish the Flame. We were looking up. There was like a website that had shows, and I saw this band, and they had tattoos, and they had a show in Fayetteville, North Carolina. We were coming through. We needed a show. It got canceled. We're like, we'll just show up there. And,
Hey, you're tatted.
right. And they ended up being sick, and like we did a split, and they were just they were from a different place, and
Yeah.
But
One
but
of us.
nowadays,
One
I
of
feel like with the internet being so relevant and
So
so
easy.
easy, I mean, that's also why hardcore is probably as big as it's ever been, regardless of the pandemic and stuff. I just think it's more accessible, and people can find out about it. And so I'm sure if you live in like
That kind of sucks.
middle of nowhere, positive and negative, right? I guess as a band, like it's cool. There's two ways to look at it, right? I could just be that guy being like, when I went to shows, you had to do
you
this.
can't be that.
You
but-
can't, because times change, right? You can't do that with everything, right? But there was like, I do think like, there's times where I'm like, all that hard work I put into like learn about bands, right? Like I was passionate about it, but it wasn't easy, dude. Like I was mailing away like $5 and being like, please send me your demo. And then you'd wait and 6 weeks, 2 months, maybe you got a demo. Right. Maybe you fucking did it. Then there were bands that were like, here's a demo and a t-shirt. You're like, oh, sick. And now you can just be like, sick. You know what I mean?
When
so
you
part of
still
me
have
is
to
like a
send in
hater just
everything.
because.
It's been
but,
3 days. Where's my package?
Right?
When you
Dude,
still
it's been
had
10
to-
minutes and people are like, I just placed an order. Did you ship it yet?
Yeah.
You don't have drone shipping?
But so there's positives and negatives, right? Like it's a different culture. Times are different. So who am I to say? I can appreciate both, right? Like I'm very thankful that I got to come up the way I came up. I think it's fucking cool. But I'm also when a young kid's at my show and he's like, "Oh, someone posted this TikTok. Your band's cool." Like, cool. Like,
Yeah.
respect.
Right.
How did everybody get into like hardcore music? Like how did you hardcore punk metal whatever it is?
So for me, like when I was younger,
Yeah.
I grew
What
up
was
in
the day like? What happened
I was.
for everybody?
What happened?
I'll say like so for me, I was just like this fuck up kid, and
Shout out.
I was into hip hop, and then I started skating,
Shout
and
out,
I started
shout
getting into
Shout
metal,
out.
and then I'll just say so. I don't know how it all unfolded, but I was getting into metal, I was getting into heavier stuff, and then at the time, and this is not the Jamie Jost, the original Headbangers Ball was like Friday or Saturday nights, and I'm starting to get into heavy stuff. I'm listening to Slayer, and I watch Headbangers Ball, and you see the Biohazard Punishment video. So Slayer is this, and it's sick, and it's breakdowns, and it's like,
But what's
whoa,
that?
this is heavy, and it's dudes in bandanas and jumping on each other. Like, what the fuck is this? And then like
thugged out.
the Suicidal video with them skateboarding.
Gangster metal.
Yeah. So from a guy that like listened to hip hop, and then getting into metal, and then being like, what the fuck is this? And then,
It's approachable. It's street level. So
well,
yeah.
then you start buying it, right? And then I had a Strawberries in my town, so I went there and bought
Shout
it.
out.
Shout out
So did we.
Strawberries.
So did we.
And they would have
Damn.
like concert listings like written up on the
You
thing.
just unlocked like a crazy flashback
Right
of
next
like
to Market
strawberries. Yeah.
Dude.
And then there was that point in time where Strawberries, the movie theater, Newbury Comics
Was the
right in
hangout.
Leominster.
Yeah.
What
So,
else do you need?
but yeah, so that like seeing that Biohazard video, I was like, I want to figure out what that is. I can say that's what like led me to, and then
How about you, Ben?
just rabbit hole.
My well, I have an older brother who was getting into punk, so I was
Shout out Eric.
Shout out Eric, boxed in.
second vocalist of Boxing.
That's right,
Brother duo.
brother to brother.
You might want to restart something with that. Anyway, continue.
All right, anyway,
I know baseball.
you know, there's something to it.
Yeah, it's coming back.
He was real into punk, and I was the type of younger brother that just wanted to do anything my older brother did. So I was getting into that, but the thing that really got me on hardcore was picking up a DVD that was Punk from the Bowery, all live shows at CBGB's. And, you know, I liked bands like Varukers and UK Subs that were on that. But little did I know there was Agnostic Front on there and Madball and Cro-Mags. So those are the first ones up, and I'm like, why? It has this groove to it. I liked that more than just kind of the straightforward.
Yeah.
It turned me onto it big time, and I was like, I want to listen to anything that sounds like Lockdown. That was the song, the Madball song he played. And like from then on, I was like, all right, whatever sounds like that, I'm into it. You know. So that was the day for me.
All right. You?
Well, for me, it was kind of easy because my older brother Sean, I think he's like maybe like 5 years older than me, but he loved like Power Man 5000
You think-
and
Dude.
Korn.
You think?
Shout out
he's
Tony
5 years
Hawk.
old? He's your brother, bro.
I got memory loss, dude.
All right, that's on brand.
Power Man 5000, MVHC,
Dude.
Haverhill,
Dude, he listened
with
to,
Rob Zombie.
That's
Like-
Rob Zombie's brother, right? The same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Power
So-
Man played every like. If you were at like a Sam Black Church
So did
tree
Korn.
show, Power, but yeah, I seen Korn.
Yeah.
Korn,
That's-
Biohazard, Mad
Yeah,
Dog.
yeah.
So those were the bands. Like my brother, he had like like the chain fucking
Yep.
necklace with the ball chain and big pants, and then he was like Power Man 5000, Korn, and all those bands. So and then he also got me into like Newfound Glory.
Oh, okay.
So the shout out to Sean, like his musical taste and that,
That's
like
very
he was
diverse.
fucking,
Yeah, it's all over the place. That's
so
cool.
he was also like he was the OG in my family, at least, like Black Sheep. So like that's where it came from. But then I started to venture out and be like, he stuck with the new metal.
Yeah.
Then I started to get more into shit like that. But my first show wasn't like a hardcore show.
Yeah.
It was Loco Bazooka.
Loco Bazooka.
In
AF.
Pittsburgh. I talked about it once before, but that's what it got me into, and then
Gangster
it
bitch,
spiraled
Barbie.
into like the church shows in Leominster.
Okay.
And
They just put up a video from the First Unitarian today.
yeah, I
Legia
did see
at
that.
07. Yeah,
Legia
the music video shoot.
got me into that type of stuff. Then I saw DBD at some point in that
sure,
time
yeah.
frame. And for me, for a long time, it was like I was just it was almost like collecting band concerts.
Yep.
Like I just wanted to see all these bands at least once.
Yeah.
And then like I was okay with not seeing them a second time.
Right.
I
You
don't
weren't-
know
you
why
weren't-
that was.
That's
but
interesting, but that's cool though.
I don't know why that is. But anyway,
I mean, because you see him and you're like, well, that's that.
That's how it was. But
Sure.
that's why I tried to see like everything.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's
but just in happenstance, you see bands 100 times anyway. But that's how I ended up seeing like Verse and Carrier and,
Yep.
and all those like old school bands.
Yep.
But that's what got me into it. Just it kind of spiraled after listening to Korn
It's crazy.
and
like
Power
you
Man
just saying
5000.
that, I'm like Verse and Carrier are old school bands. It's
I was just
crazy.
gonna say that.
But they are though. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Also, I think I never seen Power Man a bunch, but I saw Power Man 5000 with Rage Against the Machine at the Wallace Civic Center in Fitchburg.
Shout out.
I don't know if that's still a thing, but that was
Rage-
definitely like 9.
Rage is my bucket list like band. Rage Against the Machine.
Well, so like when I was getting into hardcore,
Rage for the Machine. You mean?
Rage
anything
for
that
the Machine.
looked
Yeah.
sick, you would just do. Like no one. I didn't have an older brother. I didn't know all the cool people. I had a few people that were into hardcore in my scene, but I didn't like know what was cool. So anytime I would be at Strawberries or something, I'd find something that looks cool. So I'd be like Rage Against the Machine. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then that guy like, oh, he used to sing for a hardcore band, but people like they're not hardcore. I'm like,
yeah,
I
wasn't
can't
it like
listen to
Inside
that.
Out or something?
Yeah, Inside Out. Yeah. But anyways, how'd you get in hardcore?
Me,
How'd you find it? What's the moment you found it?
I mean, there was my cousin Kyle gave me a couple of CDs, but like they weren't hardcore. Like one of them was Atreyu's first CD.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, just like something
It's still
a little-
hardcore adjacent.
Yeah, metalcore,
Yeah,
whatever, emo, metalcore, whatever. But it like Slayer, Korn, like that was, and then I'd found the Misfits
Yep.
through that kind of because that's just how it goes.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? But I remember actually, so there's a band from around here called Box Cutter Facelift. They're not.
I know that name for some reason.
They're not exactly.
I feel like I've seen a sticker on a stop sign somewhere.
Yep.
You definitely
one
have.
Right?
one sick name.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're a grindcore band from out here. Or actually,
Okay.
man, they're really more grind
Okay.
than anything. And I was just hanging out outside of the store with my skateboard, and some dude, which ended up being the guitarist, at least at the time,
Yeah.
was like, "You like punk rock?" I'm like, "I don't know." And he comes, he gives me a CD. I still have the CD today. And
That's
it's
sick.
their demo, and there's just a grind CD
Sure,
that's
sure.
recorded like a bag of shit.
Yeah.
You know, but it's good. And I actually see the dude every now and then. He's still around.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So that I was like, this is abrasive. And then you play like Tony Hawk or Sean
Yeah.
Palmer's.
A lot of people
It's
got into
huge.
hardcore because of that, because of those soundtracks.
Yeah.
So No FX,
Yeah, all
Pennywise,
that.
Newfound Glory, and I never thought of it like that. But these are the things that were priming me to find other things.
Sure.
You know.
For sure.
And then I'll be the fucking guy to say it. The fucking Boston Beatdown.
Yeah.
You know, any of the documentaries, anything I could find. Fucking Best Breakdowns Volume 1.
Yeah.
It's not war metal, me for
Right.
you know, like the irate, like just shit like that. And then one of the first like underground, like whatever shows was actually the video that got posted today. It's from 2007. Legia shot a music video, literally 100 yards over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the video went up today. It was 2007.
Yeah, I saw it. I didn't watch it, but I saw that thing.
I went to a couple things before that in 05 and 06, you know, like a bigger
Yeah.
show, like Slayer. I saw Slayer on June 6, 2006, which I thought was awesome.
That's sick. Yeah, I'd like been to a couple concerts. Like my first show was, I think it was 93. It might have been 92, but it was Biohazard. This band Stompbox that was kind of big for a minute from Boston. They were hardcore. They would be like in the Power Man realm, but they were before
Okay, yeah,
Power
yeah.
Man. They actually did a reunion show for the first time with like Tree and shit in Boston. But the band Stompbox was sick. And Reason Enough, which I would follow Reason Enough a bit. Reason Enough ended up having the singer of Reach the Sky. This was the original singer, but Ian from Reach the Sky eventually sang for Reason Enough. He also wrote for this magazine called The Pit Report, which was free in Boston. And it was like show reviews and record reviews. And there was a bunch of people that wrote for it. So it was another way to find out about hardcore. But that was my first show. And I remember going with people and like kids from my town, kind of like skater dudes. And one dude kind of had a band, but I never seen it. They played like the Stoughton VFW every now and again. And he was like, all right, man, like I didn't know what to expect. Like I saw the Biohazard video.
Yeah.
I saw what that video looked like, but I didn't have any VHS. Man. I don't know what the fuck I'm walking into.
We made our own.
And we walk in there, and there was like 4 dudes that he pointed out. He's like, these dudes come near you, man. You got to watch the fuck out. And it was like Chris Baldwin, Boston Mike, Shabo, just a hand. What I'd later been, you know what I mean? He was just like these guys, and dude, you walk in the show, it's packed, and dude, these guys are like 250 fucking pounds. Beasts like moshing. I'm like, and dude, you had to mosh or get the fuck out. Like, and I don't know what I was doing. But the thing that caught me was afterwards, I was like standing by like the merch or something like that, and the dude from Biohazard was like in the crowd. I'm like, oh shit. That's crazy. The dude from the band just comes to the crowd.
Saw you on
think
TV.
Of, and you think of like rock bands like that.
Yeah, they
Would never come out. Like you know, like, and that's when I was like, oh, I get it. And that energy, that fear energy of like, not scared
adrenaline.
for your life, but yes, scared for your life, but gave you the energy to like interact into this like chaotic like mosh. I don't know what the fuck.
Hey,
it
you
is.
become accustomed to it after a while.
Dude,
for sure.
But that energy, first, I love that feeling I got where it was like scary but intense, but like it sucked me in.
It's the anxiety if you don't know what's going to happen.
100%.
99% of the time, you're going to see a show, have fun, and go home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every
And
now and
1%
again.
of the time, some dude's going to get fucking killed.
Yeah.
We talk about that sometimes. It's like we're desensitized to a lot of stuff
Oh, dude.
because of all that
At this
shit.
point in my life.
Yeah. So it's like,
I was just going to ask him how he got it. We were before.
oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah, we
right.
missed
Yeah,
you.
yeah, we missed
What's
you.
up, man?
Steve.
Why are you hiding?
It's your hardcore lore, Steve. How'd you get here? How'd you ruin your life?
Carrie Ann's broken face.
Shut the fuck up. You were part of that too.
I know.
Cut that out.
Via metalcore, but fucking Chris Rickman. He was working at Hot Topic, and he
Victory
was like,
record samplers, etc.
Dude, there was a British Nine sampler there.
Yeah.
DVD
So-
shirts.
There was do you remember the clothing company Atticus?
Yes.
DVD Hot Topic. band.
I believe either Breakthrough It All or Better Ways to Die was on the Atticus 5 sampler. I've got it in like my parents'
Dude, I
basement.
think me and Baldwin did That was like a MMA clothing line, right?
I have no idea.
No.
wanted
I
to
know
have a
you're
metalcore
talking about.
show.
Yeah, no, I know you're talking about. Keep on going.
But you guys were on it. So
Yeah.
DBD was one of the first like hardcore bands I like paid attention to, and I was like, oh shit, they're local.
Mine was COA and Black My Heart.
Yeah.
So-
But Black My Heart was another one
Yeah.
because of the people I hung out with. They were like, yo, we love metalcore and Black My Heart.
And that makes total sense right there. That transition. They were definitely on the forefront of that metalcore stuff. For sure.
Keith did a lot out here for that too. Like Keith was one of the first people I knew that knew
He was
anything
the first
about
person
anything.
I saw with his ears stretched.
Yeah, like the first
cool.
kid in town that had one of my old friends died. But he was like he introduced me to a lot of shit.
That's
you know
awesome.
what I mean? So it's kind of the same because I know who you hung out with and I
Right.
knew it all trickles down.
Actually, funny enough, like one of the first shows that I went to with my friends was at the House of Blues. It was like Kill Switch and I think The Devil Wears Prada.
yeah.
And fucking Keith and Epi literally behind smacking me in the head. And I'm like, and then I go, I know you. And Epi goes, you go to school with my sister.
the pit bond.
Yeah.
I think I had that same sampler you were talking about.
It was blue.
Okay, maybe not. I was gonna say I remember DVD. I remember DVD being on.
Bring
it, but,
back the samplers. Samplers are cool.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't
I mean,
hand
I
me,
guess
don't
that's
hand
just-
me a
at
disc.
least-
That's just like a
compilations.
playlist. Yeah, I know. What am I going to do with the disc?
But there's no physical stores for shit like that to happen anymore, so that's the tough part about it.
But like circling back to the Nourish the Flame split, like
Yep.
that's how I found a ton of bands. So like when I started hanging out with Brad, he gave me an iPod
Yep.
full of music
Doom
that
pod.
I've
sick.
never heard.
The Doom
And-
It's
Pod.
all my
Dude.
fault.
Seriously.
That's so
But-
awesome.
Usually.
But then my autistic need to have everything,
Yeah.
I'd find the discography, I'd
Yep.
find the splits, and I'd
feel
be like,
that.
all right, I'm going to LimeWire all of those. So I had the Nourish the Flame
LimeWire.
split. I had, if a band did a split with somebody, I
Yep.
wanted their discography too.
That's awesome. And that was like the reason why you did splits, right? So like you could
Kids from across the country,
Yeah,
Europe,
yeah.
can be like, hey,
Dude, think about that split with Nourish Flame, whatever year it was. It's like, oh, we're doing a split with the band from North Carolina. Like, now it
sick.
seems like no
North
big deal. But like,
Carolina.
in
Right,
what,
yeah.
03, we're like, this is so cool because all their fans, every time we play. And dude, we'd go play North Carolina. We were the biggest band in North, not really, but like us and Nourish Flame would kill it. We played these fucking
You
weird
had
halls.
that familiarity.
100%. And they were pushing the record, and that's when people bought records. So like,
Talk about
scary
getting-
guys from Boston.
I think the evolution of that though now is the feature on a song.
Yeah,
don't
it
need
is.
to do
It
the
is.
Full split. And,
100%.
Back 10, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
I'd be like, who the fuck did that spot on that song? I'd have to go look for
Right.
the liner notes, figure out who that was. I'm still trying to figure out who was on that last song on one of the Remembering Never albums.
You actually had to
I
look
could
at the
probably.
back
I'll
of the
talk to
disc to
Josh.
figure
I'll get
out.
back to you on that.
But
King of Florida. Shout out.
now with the features and like people are getting credit and it's almost like an extension to help. I don't want to say get people paid because I don't know how much streams will really get and anyone
don't.
paid, but like at least I can click through to Death Before Dishonor from the Haywire song.
No, and I think that's cool because, right, like, even back in the day, you might have mentioned the crazy guy with dreadlocks, but, like, you know, you would give somebody your demo and they would probably dub 500 and sell 500 more than you ever got $1 for. But was the money the issue, or did you want your music to get out there? Did you want people to find your band?
It's not about money.
No,
It's
right.
Like
exactly.
it's nice.
Sure.
Cool, but it's
And
never
of course,
about
like the more you tour and stuff, sure, a couple bucks helps every now and again. But getting your name out there, so then there's the evolution, right? So you go from you got a distro, then you have the split, then you have, you know, the playlist. But you're right, the feature is now the new thing because you're like, why do these guys connect? And then it'll bring you down a rabbit hole to follow that band and what that band does.
And the coolest tours are often built off of those too. Because
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
shit, I'm gonna get to see that live.
Yeah.
They're all the same bands.
Right,
Still
right,
mad that I
yeah.
didn't see Neil Fallon on stage with Mastodon for his part. That was bullshit.
I'm bummed we didn't get to see Bishop. You know, all right, rest in peace, Pete.
One
but,
song.
Ex-Bishop.
Yeah, didn't even get the full song.
21 seconds.
One of the craziest shows that we ever played at Romans Tigers Den was
I should have kicked it the fuck off that night. I'd fucking lose sleep over that. Anyway, continue.
Remembering Never. We headlined, but we were on a tour, but the tour was Remembering Never, Death Before Dishonor, and Ramallah. Sick. And the last show was at Tigers Den. We ended up headlining because it was like a hometown show. So it was Death Before Dishonor, Remembering Never, Ramallah. Hoods was on it, Will to Live, because it was another tour
Shout
package.
out.
Damn.
And dude, there was so many people there, and if you so Romans, you went up a stair and you played, and there was a fire exit there, but there was metal stairs going down, and there were so many people. I've never seen the fire door open up so many times. Like even that day, so we were on tour. We did the whole tour with Ramallah, and at that show, the singer of Blood for Blood was there, the bass player of Blood for Blood, and Blood for Blood hadn't played in a while, and we were covering a Blood for Blood song, so we basically, Death Before Dishonor, not me, but the band, and Buddha and Rob sang
Blood Before Dishonor.
Like fucked up or something. It was just crazy.
That's
that
the
was
video,
one of the,
right? That's the
yeah,
video.
there is. It's grainy. I think it's grainy. I don't know if it's good.
Yeah, it's good.
But
though.
it's funny
cool.
that you mentioned Remembering Never, Rest in Peace. P was cool. But that was that infamous show at Tiger's Den. I wouldn't say infamous. It was just wild.
It's
that a lot of
infamous.
people talk about it.
I promise you, as
but
someone
it
came
was
up,
it was
it's infamous.
because of a Remembering Never tour. And how weird is Remembering Never, Death Before Dishonor, Ramallah tour? I mean, it wasn't weird.
That's
but
not weird.
It was like
It was weird back then, maybe
Yes.
because Remembering Never was more moshy, like
yes,
for
yeah.
moshing,
And they were
but-
on it. They were more eulogy thing or whatever. I don't know what they were on, but yeah. But it ended up being a great tour. We played Sector 7G in Augusta, Georgia, because you mentioned Georgia.
Yeah.
This weird middle of nowhere place that like you're like, how do people come to shows here?
No, I'm
In
telling
itself.
you, that whole entire area,
Yeah.
it was like you had to go to like 4 different states.
Yeah.
Like when one of them had a show. That was it. And like Tennessee was one of them.
Yeah,
Like,
that makes sense.
and that was just a weird thing. Like, oh, pack up everybody.
Yeah.
And let's go from North Carolina to South Carolina to Tennessee.
So you talk about being desensitized, and obviously there's a lot of the violent things you get desensitized to, but there's a lot of cool things too that you don't realize just how cool they
cool it
are.
was.
Like
Until you end up at a normie situation.
right, yeah, you're like, oh, you don't drive around the country just because it's a weekend.
You don't like you don't like parking lots?
Yeah,
Wait,
Yeah.
The fuck?
You never slept in a
You ever
rental?
been to a Busey's?
What do you mean a half hour is a long drive?
Yeah.
That's the
Shut
big
the
one.
fuck
I know.
up.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my
the big
god.
one. Yeah.
You want a grievance to air? Oh, a half hour is a long drive. Fuck you.
Dude.
Fuck you. And I know you feel that way, so it's a soft fuck you, but fuck you.
Also coming from the guy that'd be like, yeah, I'll go play this show to 40 people that's 8 hours away and be
Yeah.
at work on Monday, but also fuck the hour drive on a Sunday.
It's too much.
It's the Lord's Day.
Really, I
It's the
can't be
Lord's Day.
burdened. I can't be burdened. What's up with these cannolis?
I went to Bova's last night.
No, I'm asking like
Have at 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah, why'd you go to Bova's last night and didn't say anything?
Because I had stuff going on.
Is Bova's like a
Hand me those,
bakery?
you're just gonna keep fucking
Yeah, it's a
on air.
24-hour bakery in the North End.
Oh, I was going to say the one in the city. Okay.
Not right now.
both of these.
We're just
nuts.
like in a different country here, so I didn't know that you actually travel to the city.
Yeah,
No.
no.
I'm
I
actually
never had
not a
problem.
cannoli person, but they look great. My wife would be all over it.
Yeah, I never had a problem driving in general, like period, because I think I was just used to it as like a high school.
You want one? I'm not-
No, I'm good for now. Because we had to drive like 2 hours
yeah, it's a
to do anything.
Yeah.
So it's like
Shout out Bova's, dude.
Bova's is the shit. I know that much.
Oh,
I don't.
way
I-
better than Mike's.
I'm not a cannoli
Brad and
guy.
I would drive to Bova's.
Which was an hour.
Yeah.
No, definitely. And dude, I would go anywhere for a show. Like I would drive to Castle Heights on and this was just like a legendary Queens venue that had like super heavy bands play. It'd be like a Saturday night. Me and Frankie would be like, "You want to just drive to Queens?" And we'll just go to Queens
Right.
and check out a
Yeah.
cool show because we like the vibe there. So like, I'm with you. Like if you
It's
like
not a
travel,
weird
no,
thing.
no.
Yeah, it's-
I will say the older I get, I'm like, how far?
Oh, 100%. Well, that's when you were talking about like hardcore shows on Mondays.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, who has fucking
Right,
time
but
for
here's
that?
the thing, right? I'm with you.
Like-
But then we'll be on tour and be like, oh, once I'm on tour, it's different. I'm like, oh, it's only a 7-hour drive. We're fine. It's not like it's 13.
Yeah.
But if it was a Monday night after a show, I'd be like, what are you, crazy?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Hardcore is Thursday to Sunday. Suck a dick.
yeah, but
Stop
at the
doing
time,
it.
like 7-hour drive with a bunch of people isn't crazy because
Yeah.
you're like switching out.
Yeah. And
stuff
it was
like
an
that.
experience, right? You're hanging out with your friends. You're fucking going to do something. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I used to love leaving Boston and going to see shows in different places when I was younger before I like was in a band traveling just because like you'd hear like I mentioned Castle Heights or New Hampshire. We go to Manchester Cafe. You gonna make it?
Come on.
This is a place called Cafe Savoy that did shows
Getting through it.
like the mid 90s. I just always like seeing shows in different places, and that would lead into like being in a band and getting to see interactions in different
Yeah,
places.
exactly. Yeah, it's it's just one of those things that I feel like nowadays too, with like the younger generation like coming up,
Yep.
I feel like they missed out on stuff that I don't want to necessarily say like it'll never happen again,
Right.
but there's a whole different element of it now. It's almost like commercialized.
Yeah.
And it's just so easily accessible. They don't have to really dig for anything anymore.
It's definitely right in front
Or-
of their face. And that's why
yeah.
like part of it's like I don't really hate on it. They just won't get to experience what I got to experience out of it. And it's not like,
Yeah.
haha, it's just, I just have a different connection just like you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're right. They probably won't experience it like that. They'll have a different experience, but
There will be underground venues still.
Always.
Like, and that's where the real...
they'll
Real
always
shit
be.
will
You're
happen.
100% right. Like even as popular as underground music gets, there's still the underground of the underground. And there always will be. You know
Yeah.
what I
And that's black metal.
That's something I wanted to bring up too, because me and my brother were talking about this yesterday, just sitting on the couch shooting the shit. How older like '90s style things are coming back.
Yes.
And
Simulation.
there's like '90s hip hop that's becoming super popular now in mainstream, and I'm like super excited about it.
That's awesome.
But then like the
Shout out Jay
the
from
sub
Mind Force.
the subcultures are becoming more popular again.
Yeah.
And how for a long time it was just like it was almost like dead. But now it's becoming a popular thing now to replicate the '90s. How
Yeah,
history
yeah.
always repeats itself
Always,
with trends.
always, yeah.
So now like the skating subculture, the hardcore subculture, and all that shit is starting to come back again.
Yeah.
And it's just such a nice relief
For
over
sure.
like the past like 10 years of like
Oh, you feel young again?
it feels cool like now that the younger, I don't know what generations are called anymore, but like whatever younger generation now that they're still in like their teen years,
Yep.
like the subcultures are like a huge thing now because I think they are sick of how things were going for a long time.
Right. Almost too
So-
mainstream, even though subcultures have become
Yeah.
mainstream, but it's like their thing. So I'm with you. Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather see a kid skateboarding around or like
Yeah, I love it.
dressing like off the norm and thinking off the norm than just status quo popular America
Yeah.
shit. Because
And I'm noticing that a lot lately because obviously I was like just like doom scrolling on your phone or whatever, but it's become like these 15-year-olds like listening to hardcore music and just skateboarding again,
Yeah.
which I like feel like I just didn't see it for a long time. I don't
No,
know if
no,
it's just
like-
me, but
well, even Brad said like that's that dude that gave you like the demo when you had to skateboard outside.
Yeah,
and
I was
stuff.
just coasting
when,
around.
When we were starting my first band, the way we'd make stickers and free samplers, and we'd go to skate parks and just hand out the tapes
Or
and
the
stickers,
mall.
or the mall.
Whatever.
Stick 'em on a
That's
rack
how
or
I met.
something.
That's how I met Cody.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was the skateboard influence because that was the subculture. And a lot of times, if you skateboarded, chances are you listened to.
Hey, you look like
sometimes-
shit. Come here.
Yeah, basically. You probably listen
Yeah.
to punk, metal, hardcore, or hip hop, but it's still
Yeah.
subculture. You know, so they do like
Exactly.
graffiti and stuff like that. But yeah,
If you can find your way from skate spot to skate spot, you
Yeah.
can find your way from venue to venue.
That's
You know,
it.
it's that
Wow.
spirit.
And you can
know?
skate from venue to venue.
There it is, exactly.
yeah,
no, that's a good. That's a
That's a good
actually-
quote.
You're the same
It
type
really
of
is.
person.
yeah. Put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
The internet has
Put that in your
done.
pocket.
Wisdom with Instigate.
The internet has done great things. It's definitely a lot of bands. I love that. Listen, I love that bands are making money. I love that bands get tour. I love that bands that usually no one would really give a fuck about outside of the 50 people from here
Sure.
can tour the country and have fun. I've been seeing Risk for over a decade.
Yeah.
And now they're the 3-time This Is Hardcore hat trick champions.
I saw that.
Full circle. We were talking about the Carolinas. Risk and Solus just played with Winston-Salem last night.
Yeah, I
At
saw
the
that.
fest.
Yeah.
And the
So-
kid that puts that fest on, he booked my band in a VFW down there 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And now he's doing fucking fest.
Shout out Risk.
Was it James that did, or is this someone that works with James?
It might have been someone that works with
Gotcha,
James. It's
gotcha.
a kid named Dylan McKay.
Makes sense. Okay, yeah.
But it's also brought negativity. Like there's some stuff going on at live shows. What the fuck? There's some stuff going on at shows that the culture needs to start quite literally beating out of people. Get off Snapchat.
Yeah.
In the fucking hardcore is not for you to get a clip on the internet.
It's
I
turned
blame
into that,
Corey
unfortunately.
from Move, and here's why. He started doing front flips on stage at This
Yeah.
Is Hardcore in 2014 or 15 or 13, whenever the fuck that was, and it went viral.
Okay.
Then everybody decided, let me catch a little
I need
jig
a viral
on stage
moment, yeah.
so I can get tagged in a fucking mosh video like a loser retard. So that's what started. If you are Snapchatting fucking on the floor and you're like doing whatever, bad things are going to start happening to you. Stop bringing the internet and the outside world and the shit that normie people do into this. Stop.
It definitely.
And rant.
You're not wrong about that. That one moment because it feels like everybody's looking for a moment, and it's like
You got 2 to 3 seconds to get on stage and off, unless there is a bury your dead style pile up.
Sure.
If you catch a two-step on the way off, no problem. But if you were on there long enough to be noticed, you're a piece of shit loser. You deserve everything bad that's about to happen to you. And this is your only warning.
I do. I
We're
think
Instigate and we approve this message.
I think that internet has. You don't live. you need to live in the moment, right? Like you're saying. Right?
Exactly.
So, like, put down your phone.
Exactly.
There's
Enjoy
a lot
something.
of
Do it
less
up
of
like you
that.
want. Just enjoy it, man. Like,
Yeah.
You don't have to like every band. You don't have to give a fuck about every
no,
band.
and
But
you don't have to capture every second like you're going to be the cool person next week on the internet. Listen, I know they're going to anyways, and that's what
Yeah.
culture is taught. Like I said,
it's cool to get caught on video doing something like fun and cool, like sure. See, I say this all the time. Mosh videos are not cool, but stage dive videos are cool.
Yeah.
But you getting on stage and moshing to then tag yourself in the comment of the repost just to be because you suck.
It's
I
like
hate
it's like you manifested it opposed to like a natural thing.
No,
right?
this is
Yeah.
not your band. This
Right,
is not
right,
for
right,
you.
right,
This is for us to have fun. If your version of having fun is having main character syndrome, get kicked in the face and fuck off.
You used to have to look through a bunch of Future Breed photos to find yourself.
The old school way. You have, first of all, the return to the pit layout is
Yeah.
still a nightmare.
I know.
Good luck trying to find anything
I
on
like
there
that,
in a
though.
timely
I
manner.
love it.
I don't
Yeah.
want it to change.
HTML.
Shout out to
invisible.
Rev.
And you can't do it on your phone. You have to do it on a laptop.
Yeah, because your phone, you're like,
You're like,
"The
and then the
fuck?"
next button just doesn't fucking work right.
Yeah.
But also,
tab.
shout out to Rev.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
But that's how it should be.
Profile
hate that
pic
shit.
hunting after a
A show.
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's good that people like want to go and want to be seen. It's not even bad to really talk about it to a certain extent.
Right.
Even though the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about
Right,
Fight
right,
Club. But there's a line that you have to walk between like this isn't for normal people. If you feel out of place, if you feel bummed out, and you're like, oh, I feel unsafe, or I feel this kind of way, or whatever. You're not for this.
Right. You're not obligated to be there. So
You're
there's
not going to be
something-
an influencer here. It's not going to happen.
It's like I said when I went to my first show. I think there's like an energy, and you can be nervous. You can be
Nervous is fine.
totally fine. And that energy that comes with this type of music, I do think it's like intense, and you have to be ready for intense stuff. It is what it is.
Right.
But yeah, I think there'll be the forever battle of like people understanding or embracing what the culture is actually about.
It'll
at
ebb and
times.
flow. It'll be super popular.
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
someone
yeah.
will need a GoFundMe.
And it's always been like
and then
that.
it'll be super popular, and then
Somebody
somebody
will-
will need a GoFundMe. You know, so
No,
Everything
and
just
then
needs to
Reddit will be all bummed out and talk about a bunch of shit they're not gonna do in real fucking life.
that's the evolution of hardcore, though. It's like ups and downs, and what platform people are gonna bitch about stuff on, whether it's the Bridge 9 board or it's Lamb Goat or it's Reddit.
Everything
now,
needs
or
to be documented for,
everything needs to be
you know,
documented.
it's,
I remember the days like when I first started going to shows, like people had cameras like this, and if something dumb happened,
You had to earn it.
Well,
Yeah.
if something happened, these bigger gentlemen would walk up to you and go, "Hey, it's the camera or the tape. Which is it?"
Look here, Chief.
And if you knew, you gave
Yeah.
the camera. If not, you lost a big camera.
And that's how it should be. And I'm not going to go too deep on it, but if there is a problem at a subculture that you care about, it could be hip hop, it could be, but if you're at an underground style show and something happens and fucking whatever, fights don't shut down shows. Calling the cops shuts down shows. If you got your shit whooped, that sucks, dude. Go get back. I don't know what to tell you, but if you call the cops on the situation, or if you think you're being a good Samaritan, like, oh man, these people are whatever's happening, and you call the cops, one, you're putting yourself in immediate danger, but two, you're ruining the subculture for everybody else.
Right, yeah, you don't
Fights
wanna ruin
happen
that, yeah.
everywhere all the time, or like anything. It doesn't even have to be a fight. It could just be like if you're drawing unwanted attention to this.
Yeah.
Like if you're the guy who's filming something and something breaks up and you post it on the internet, you're the loser, not the people fighting, not the altercation going on. It's you're bringing attention to something.
To something you should have.
That isn't your fucking. You're doing everything's for clout, and it's like
calling
eventually that's gonna get squeezed the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. It's like calling the cops
I would
on
hope
someone-
so.
Yeah. It's like calling the cops on someone like smoking weed out back. You wouldn't do that. Why would you do it for someone fighting?
Dude, we
well,
were just
some
shooting
people
a
fucking
video.
would, but
That's also.
Oh, we're trying to get footage for a video. Went into this building, minding our own business, and like someone walking the dog just had to call the cops on us. Like we weren't. We were
well,
like,
you do look awful.
We were also
they couldn't even see us.
We were also blasting music in there.
Yeah, but it was like through a boombox. It wasn't like they were playing. It's like the lady could have just kept on moving. You didn't have to
true.
call the
No,
cops.
that's the fucking Karens that call the cops on kids for fishing in the park.
Right, exactly.
It's a different kind of white, dude. Yeah, man, it's different.
Oh, I know.
It was either someone calling or I don't know if it was like part of their route or what.
Someone
but,
called.
Whack regardless.
you inconvenienced their day even a little bit, so they had to
Yeah.
call the cops. That's all.
It's
it is.
well, my favorite is like it's not even hardcore involved, but just like you see it in videos online or you see it in real life. Motherfuckers are hard as fuck. They're ripping their shirts off. Which, by the way, you should already be attacking them. If they're taking their shirt off, attack right then.
That's perfect time.
Like, yeah, 100%. Because like, oh, you're gonna posture and be a tough guy. Well, while your shirt's over your head, I'm gonna ice you.
Yeah.
So, like, but they're posturing, they got all this adrenaline, and then they get punched in the face, or they get injured, and they start screaming and say, "Call the cops." You don't get to act that way. You don't get to act like a tough guy, or even assault somebody first, and then go call the cops when you start losing the fight.
And they're posting these things too. It's like
Exactly. Oh, I got my shit fucking ran. Like, oh, dude, you should get your shit ran like kind of silently. Like, it's okay. Like, people lose fights sometimes. That's
Absolutely,
how it goes. You know. But like
No diss
going
on
on the internet to like try to save face when you're just showing us how shitty your face looks now, it's like retarded.
Now people are gonna remember forever.
So, now
Yeah,
click.
exactly.
if I sat around, I have more gripes with the internet than I lead on to. Like, but it's also
I'm
like
fucking bitching to the wind, dude. Like nothing's gonna,
Yeah, it's like like I said, there is a positive thing to it, but sometimes I'm like, dude, this is also a guy that came from a time when there just wasn't the internet. I'm just like, dude, why would you post this? It's embarrassing.
How do you feel about mosh pit rowboats?
Dude, so, here's the funny thing though. Yo, before the internet was a thing and it came to America, this started in Poland. I saw this in in 2006.
Deep cut.
So Eastern Europe used to always do this. I don't know how it came here. Now, when you're in Europe in 2006 or 5 or whatever.
Or were you like mid-30s then?
Yeah, I was like 39. Dude, it was like, what the fuck is going on? And it was always like the thing for Eastern Europe. That's what they did. I don't care. But then it became like popular or something. Like it happens.
I think
here.
it was the Viking metal bands.
Yeah, so Amon Amarth maybe.
I was
attributes
literally
this,
about to say that.
Well,
yeah.
once again, so like I said, Eastern Europe, wild style there. They do a lot of weird stuff. Like in that interview that I just did, this guy
try
talks
on
about
merch.
What's that? They definitely try on merch.
Oh my God, fuck that. That's starting to be a thing here now. I don't give a fuck what shirt you need. It's printed on Gildan Heavy, you piece of shit.
They're all the same.
Get up.
You wear Gildan, you know what size you wear. That show that this dude mentioned in an interview was like 2006, the first time we played Warsaw, Poland. It was us in Ramallah. And dude, there's a motherfucker in the pit with a cardboard tank that said DBD on it.
Kind of sick.
Then if they rowboat,
That's a fan.
I don't fucking. You
No,
guys
I
are wild.
see,
But
the tank kind of cool because that's
Yeah.
one guy being creative,
Yeah.
and in a video that's kind of hilarious.
It is.
Rowboating, I hate you.
especially in this color, it's weird. Like I said, when I saw it in Eastern Europe, I'm like,
Very Amon Amarth.
you do you. But then I went to see Carcass and Obituary with an Amon Amarth, and it is a rowboat thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what an Amon Amarth is, but I did see it. In much respect, I'm not.
Hear
It's
the
just not my
blackbirds
thing.
cry, brother.
But they definitely have the rowboat thing going on.
Yo,
And then
Monomark is a trip live.
then kids
Okay,
start.
They're
Cosplay
sick
metal.
live.
I think
They're
kids see
sick.
videos and they're like, "We're going to start doing this," and then you have rowboats.
Here's the thing. That wouldn't have like Boston, cool, whatever. In Worcester to Fitchburg, you're not getting away with that. At the Palladium, specifically, people would do this move from like the 05s to like the 12s.
Okay.
They'd get down on all fours so you could jump off their back to jump on the
Yeah,
crowd.
I know what you're talking about.
This is the only two outcomes from that. One, I am going to jump and slam my whole body weight down on your spine as hard as I can. And if you survive that, then I'm going to jump on the crowd. If I don't decide to do that, I'm going to soccer kick you in the face as hard as I can. Because get the fuck up off the floor. And that wasn't just me. That was taught to me. That was. I grew up
Rite of
seeing that.
passage.
So if you're this is hardcore, people start rowboating, I fully expect to see a soccer match.
Pele.
So a guy coming from shows in these crazy times, and I've seen this stuff in Europe, but like just in Boston, being like, I mean, you would not ever be at the Rat at a Blood for Blood show and see someone do a rowboat.
No, you're going to get hit with a chain for fun. We're
I
going
mean,
to
you're
laugh
gonna
at
get
you.
hit with a chain anyways. Yeah, I mean, people get creative, but it's funny that America culture is talking about the rowboat, and I've been seeing the rowboat since like 06, 07 in Europe, and I'm always like, what the fuck are you guys doing? But hey, that's their scene, not mine. So whatever they do in Poland and stuff,
Not my scene.
Not my rowboat.
but
No,
also
there's
respect on the DBD tank. He also ripped himself out of the tank first song in and just pitted. It was pretty sick.
That's awesome.
You should at least stage
And
dove
mind
with
you,
the
I
tank.
was on
Yeah.
stage going, is that really a fucking tank? What is going on?
Yo, a flip phone?
This is 06. There ain't no flip phone. Was it flip phone? Maybe flip phone.
Or you're getting there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
close.
yeah.
You're still hanging
Like
on.
a gas station one.
No, I was a freshman in high school. I had a flip phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. The
Razor
The
was bigger
Yeah,
on that.
The Razor.
That
Yeah.
still counts as a flip.
Yeah, it's flip.
Respect.
It's a specialty flip.
Yeah.
Pre-sidekicks.
I had a swivel
Post
was my
sidekicks?
first phone.
Definitely post-sidekicks.
You
I had the
played-
Verizon swivel.
Right. Oh,
Yeah, I had the chocolate at one point. Remember that?
Yeah.
You played the Fitchburg Airport Warp Tour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
As
was
someone
like the
who's-
Bridge 9,
Rock Vegas.
Rock Vegas thing. Yeah.
I snuck into that. I hopped the
Dude, that
fence.
was the hottest day ever.
It was a nightmare. It was a dust bowl.
I was at that as well.
We lucked out. I remember we got there early, and Baldwin was with us, and there was Every Time I Die was playing, the big thing. Shout out Little Zach, worked for Every Time I Die, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to hang out on this air-conditioned bus?" I was like,
Fuck yeah.
Isn't
Man,
it lovely
Chris
how
was
when that
in the
works
bus.
out? I love
So,
that.
Also,
Yeah.
Chris being like, looking like Chris was like, "Hey, we need a forklift to bring all the stuff to the stage." So it worked out. Show was sick. Definitely a bunch of fights during a set, but it was one of the craziest shows.
Oh, motherfuckers were dropping like flies.
dude, it was wild.
Dehydration,
Yeah.
violence, fucking
Yeah.
drugs. It was bad.
Too hot to fight outside. Come on.
It was,
Pieces
dude.
of
I remember
fence.
being on stage, being like, "Dude, I think today's the day I die." It was so fucking hot.
It was bad. Yeah.
That was a dope show.
Well, there's
though.
no shade. Either. The
No,
so
no,
it's an
we were-
airport, right? And it's just all
Yeah,
beat.
and
So-
our stage didn't have
That
like a tent or
tarmac.
any. Oh, dude,
Yeah,
it was
off
the
to the
hottest
side.
day. Yeah,
Yep.
and it was
Just
a dust bowl because it
attracting
was
the
just in
heat.
the fucking dirt.
Yeah.
That was a sick show though. I remember. Yeah, Rock Vegas and Bridge 9 like collaborated. I think Hot Topic even had something to do with it. So that time, like,
Yeah.
they had a sampler in Hot Topic took sure. So like,
We
Hot
rag on
Topic
that.
was like
They
fall
help,
stuff.
right?
What's up?
We rag on like Hot Topic
Nah,
bands and shit,
dude,
but
I
they
go
help.
back.
Like they've been,
I
it's-
know they don't anymore, but back in the day, dude, they would regionally take Bridge 9 shirts. Like they took DVD stuff,
Yeah.
and they sold well.
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
did like a sampler at the front desk when we were on tour.
Yeah. That's how I found a lot of bands is going in the front
Yeah.
and seeing what kind of CDs they had just like for free.
the
So
bulletin boards at Newberry Comics.
Bulletin
yeah,
boards,
that
yeah.
too.
We're just
07.
talking to Faz.
Yeah,
Faz.
yeah.
Shout out
Faz,
Faz,
shout out
yeah.
Faz. He works
Oh.
at the Middle East now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Shit.
I see him. Like, not a lot, but he's around.
Fixtures.
The Death Before Dishonor Count Me In tour was 07, and that's when the relationship with Bridge 9 and Hot Topic was popping. And Hot Topic was everywhere. So we had just put out Count Me In. It was DVD, Black My Heart, COA, and Fight Like Hell, full U.S. tour. And Hot Topic had put like the tour postcard in all their stores up front, like a bunch of them with the
Yeah.
CD. So like that's what was ripping, but that helped a lot, man. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's mall shit, but like
No, they were super important.
they were
For the-
super.
Out of 100 normies that go in there
Yeah.
and grab the sampler, grab a sticker or whatever, you're going to get 2 hardcore kids to
100%.
stick around.
Yep.
And it's
Yeah.
worth it, you know?
Before
And just like we went to a place to, like we tried to figure out where stuff was, that kid going to Hot Topic might be like, oh, I heard hard. Oh, I can find out more shows and learn about more bands.
Yep.
MySpace.com /
Top
Yeah.
8.
Brockton Hardcore. Brockton
Yeah.
shows.
Before the Dark Knight came out and Joker merch was a thing. That's when Hot Topic was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's where
They
you
ruined the
went.
Joker,
They
too.
changed the market a bit after that.
But I mean, when you mentioned strawberries earlier, that shit just like sent me down a fucking.
Yeah, like I said, I was fortunate. So Randolph had a Strawberries, so when Strawberries closed, I'd have to go take the bus to Newberry Comics.
Yeah.
I think Newberry Comics had more stuff, but the Strawberries of like the late '90s was very intimate, and the show listing. You buy tickets there. That's where I bought tickets to the
Yeah.
Wallace Civic Center to see Power Man and
The Slayer
Rage.
show
Yeah.
I talked about, the first ticket I got, it was a Strawberries ticket.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, to actually have to still buy physical tickets from a
yeah,
place.
and bring
Now
it.
that's kind of fucking annoying. I'd hate that. But
Yeah, now it's annoying because
Because if
damn,
you
there's no
lose it, you're
QR code.
fucked. Now you can like it can be saved, but if back then if you lost a physical ticket, like
You're fucked.
you ain't going to shit.
you ever
There's
had
no
your
proof.
shit ran for 2 concert
Yeah,
tickets?
dude,
Yeah.
fuck.
FYE in Warwick Mall. That's where I would get
Yeah,
my
that was another
Palladium
one.
tickets. Yeah.
I'm surprised that
War
FYE is
rack.
still around.
War rack.
Oh yeah, they're still in the malls, right?
Yep.
Do they have CD? I mean, I
I'm-
haven't
they-
walked in one.
They don't have like CDs anymore. It's like very because I went
Like
there.
shirts and stuff like that.
used
Yeah.
section or something.
I went
yeah.
to an FYE, and me and my buddy Adam were just like looking for like cards, like you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like a few weeks ago, and we went into an FYE, and I was like, "Fuck, I didn't even know this was still open." We went in, and it was just like Funko Pops.
That's and it's sad because they used to all kind of have like these chain, almost record stores or merch stores. They used to each kind of have their own identity. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
One was more movies. One was more music.
Yeah, no, you're right. They did.
One was
Yeah,
more
yeah,
T-shirts. Now it's literally all the same.
Same.
Yeah, it's
kind
all the
of.
same.
You
Some
know,
bullshit.
The Nirvana
t-shirts.
t-shirts.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
pop vinyl figures.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is.
merch. Yeah,
It's all collectibles
Record
and
day.
Funkos.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean the records. It's you can't go to like local stores anymore. But you have to go to what is it, like Bull Moose and
Yeah,
places
yeah.
like that.
Actual
yeah.
vinyl
Record,
places.
yeah.
Yeah, like you have to actually hunt for them now
Yeah.
and go to the specialty stores that are,
Correct.
thank God, still in business.
Right,
Yeah, there's still a bunch, but
Yeah.
it's not like you could, back in the day, you could go to a Strawberry
Welfare
Cafe.
Records.
Yeah, welfare records. Yeah,
Wanna Hear It Records rules.
That's
I
in
know-
Watertown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Fuck Watertown.
It's a cool spot.
Newtown, bitch.
Yeah, so I haven't been in there, but I've seen a bunch of pictures from there. It looks cool.
No, I've been there a few times.
Does DFJ own it or just works there? Or it seems like he's in pictures there. Do you know DFJ from?
I don't.
Okay. DFJ was in Righteous Jams.
Sick.
Solid.
Dude, I say one band. He's been in like 472 fucking bands.
You think there's too many fests? I do. I love that people are making money touring and bands get to be bands. That's not my point. A festival every 2 months, it will be burnt out in less than 2 years.
Let me ask you
I'm
this:
surprised it's not already.
how does the American fest circuit kind of compare to the European?
It doesn't at all. Europe's a total different thing. So
They don't have ice, from what I hear.
they definitely don't have ice.
Nightmare.
yeah, that's
They're
right.
working on that
That's
recipe, though.
Shout
They're
out
trying to
Kane.
figure out.
Working on the recipe.
They need AC to get that.
They're doing some alchemy.
All right,
Holy
so Europe music culture to American music culture, it's two different worlds, right? Europe is heavily invested, like how you said, like schools don't even teach fucking instruments. Europe music culture, arts culture is very relevant. You could take a youth center that's an actual youth center during the day. They will put on concerts at night and roll out a fucking bar. And the government will help fund it because it's given to the youth and giving them somewhere to go. That translates to their festivals where, I played on the same stage with Motorhead. I don't think that would really happen in the States. I'm not saying impossible, but it doesn't happen all the time. And this was 2014 or something, right?
With full force.
Yeah, like 4 bands before Motorhead. I just think the heavy music culture is very widespread. People get into a band, they go down rabbit holes. There's a lot more money in festivals over there. The festivals in the States have come a long way, the hardcore festivals. I do think there's a lot. I think kids seem to love it, though, so who the fuck am I to say? It seems like every other week there's a new fest. But if that's what brings people out, I don't know.
Does it not? My thing with it is, it's not that I hate opportunity.
Sure.
I think that's fine. And actually, fests, as much as I talk shit, I get to see all my friends. It's
Great
awesome.
hangout, yeah.
4 a year, dude.
Right.
3-4 months. You got the West Coast for the children.
Yeah.
You got the East Coast for the children now, but West Coast for the children. You got This Is Hardcore. Those are the 2 main ones you should be looking to go to as a hardcore kid. But then FYA, and then maybe toss in the Rumble or
What about Sound and Fury?
Sound of
Sound
Fury
and
is a
Fury.
big one,
So
yeah.
Sound and Fury before the children is bigger usually. Like it. Well,
Well, Sound of Fury now is outside, and I think it's been...
yeah. So
Sound of Fury also, I'll give shout-outs. First of all, Martine does a lot with Sound of Fury, but Sound of Fury was a fest, like, we played at Oxnard, and it was like, not that it was tiny, but it was like, not what it is now.
But a fest
Back
every month is now
I
not
know,
going to
so-
draw. I don't. 100 Demons is playing This Is Hardcore.
then. Right.
Everybody's going to go.
Right.
100 Demons is playing the fest circuit. A lot of people are still going to go, but it's not the same as. So more opportunity is good, but it's just I don't know.
Oversaturated.
A big
That's
difference.
the word.
A big difference with the European fest too is they won't do, strictly. I mean, you may get some, but their festivals are punk, metal, hardcore, Viking.
Very
metal.
diverse, yeah.
Yeah, like it's so you have a shit
Robo.
ton of people
Robos.
all day,
Tanks.
all day.
Tanks.
Yeah, exactly.
But
They
the
camp
diversity
out.
is huge because,
Yeah.
and mind you, there are some straight-up hardcore festivals in Europe. Don't
There
get me
are,
wrong.
yeah.
But you as a hardcore band can play huge stuff. And it's a different culture, but as an older guy, I think there's a lot of, I think everything now in the States is a fest, but kids seem to be going with them. I don't know. Europe, though, like your question, it's just two different worlds. Like, it doesn't feel the same over there festival-wise to here, and that's no knock on either. They just have their own feel to it, and I just think Europe has more money in their fests, like, because it's government subsidized.
That's exactly.
It's just like a supply and demand thing, I think. It's just like you put too much of something out there, and people are like, oh, just catch the next one.
Right.
And if everybody has that mentality, then
Well, it's like when a band
everything
tours too
suffers.
much, right? Like in the mid 2000s was a prime example. You'd be like on tour all the time, and it's like, I'll just catch them next month when they're in California, like because I'd be in
Because the
California
draw
4
gets
times a year.
hurt.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what
It
I'm
really
talking
does. So, but it seems like bands tour less and hit more festivals now. In the States, I mean, and I don't
Well, because you used to
Not
have
Haywire, of
half
course.
the tour to get your name out.
100%. And now it's like, like
It's
Little
like
Rock has a
piecing
fest.
before you bomb, dude. It's not. That doesn't work, man.
But and like I said, I'm not pro or I hear what you're saying. It does seem like nowadays there's always a festival popping up, but I don't know how long it lasts. I don't know how packed they all are. I don't know. I don't play it. I played some. Some are cool. I'm sure they have different opportunities.
Steve, I'll crack that window if you can.
Good luck.
Oh,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what I feel of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's definitely different. It
it's
wasn't
not
like that.
bad. It's just like,
Right.
oh, fucking this fest with the same 20 bands from
Right,
a
right,
month
right.
and a half ago. It just like, it's oversaturated, like you said it. But I don't want to take food off anybody's table.
Sure, sure.
I don't want to take the experience of
And listen,
anything.
I don't think
Seems like it's working,
here's the
yeah.
thing. If kids are showing up, people are going to do fests. If kids aren't showing up, they're going to stop doing fests. You know what I mean?
You know where needs a fest is like Texas. Because
Does
there's
Texas
there's
a lot?
some stuff going on in
Yeah.
Texas sometimes, but there's
Yeah.
really not any like a big like a
Yeah,
a
there's
This
some
Is
smaller
Hardcore
ones
style
about- yeah,
fe-
yeah.
No, they usually have big ones. They usually have like big blowout like concerts that
Yeah.
some like Pain of Truth played one.
Yeah, I saw the outdoor shit. And,
But like a This Is Hardcore size fest for the lower central part of America, there's
Yeah.
nothing out there really.
Shout
out Vane.
I think Little Rock started doing something, which is crazy. That Little Rock has, I think it's flyover. Oh, Tulsa does flyover.
I was gonna say Tulsa. What's in
Tulsa.
Tulsa? Yeah.
That's not even
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it's 2 hours from Dallas,
Oklahoma. Oh,
Yeah.
never mind. I was thinking of
but I don't know. Yeah,
Montana.
geography.
Hard.
Big science, Ben.
Those are words.
From Instigate. Oh shit, dead air. Are we done?
Yeah, that's probably a good.
Hour and
good-
57.
that's
Yeah,
good.
that's a good.
Hours.
That's a good one.
You got anything you want to talk about the record? Plug the record.
May
Instigate
16th,
2025. No.
We got the Push to the Edge single.
Yeah,
out
Push That
now.
It's out
single,
everywhere.
Overrule single, Old Friends cover with Haywire. Check it out.
That was awesome.
That was
Oh, rest in peace, Shane.
Yeah,
Today is the
11
day.
years.
Yeah.
there might be a special Shane type, Bulldog Courage type announcement coming soon. Keep an eye out.
Allegedly.
But yeah, record comes out May 16th. We're dropping a video that day too for the first song, theoretically. Shout out Company Car. Hopefully gets it done. May 18th, if you're around here, come to the Boston show. It's only $20. Middle East downstairs. Tickets are moving, so grab some, but I bet we'll be able to get people in at the door.
Get your
Make
tickets
it
at
up.
Strawberries.
The thing about hardcore shows is like it's always a back door.
Yeah.
You know, it's like capacity. Listen, it's flexible.
Any last things you guys want to promote besides that?
I don't know.
Any upcoming tours associated with the
I mean,
release?
we got the West Coast. Other than the release shows, we got the West Coast with Haywire,
Yeah.
Liberty and Justice. That'll be great. We got
Problem
Rumble.
2 is on that. That band seems
Problem,
cool.
right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a timer, like a little ticker in the corner of this episode of how many times Haywire was mentioned. Like,
Can you talk about hardcore without mentioning Haywire?
Right,
yeah.
Yeah, we got that, and then we do the Rumble in Chicago. This is hardcore with the run with Street Power.
Couple things we haven't announced yet, but probably will announce soon.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff this year.
Sweet.
Thanks for doing the interview. Appreciate
Awesome.
it.
No, I appreciate you guys coming. Thank you.
guys.
Peace.